upstate.
Tolos, it is here, the week of the Super Bowl, and we are going to get into it. We're going to talk a lot of Super Bowl as we get through this week, Cole, but you know what? Everybody is talking about the Super Bowl. Everybody's prognosticating about the matchup. What do we think's going to happen? We got Seahawks. We got Patriots. What's going to happen with this? Well, guess what? We're not going to talk about the Super Bowl here in this first segment of the show, Cole. I want to talk about what should be one of the biggest scandals in NFL ownership in a long time, since Robert Kraft was allegedly getting rub and tugs to take some of the stress away from being an owner of a multi-billion-dollar successful business. Why are we not talking about Steve Tisch, the 45% stake owner of the New York Giants, who was mentioned 440 times in that massive new Epstein files release last week?
Yeah, that's a lot of times.
Yeah.
I guess I would say, Diesel, at first, you talked about this being one of the biggest scandals in NFL owners' history. Well, unfortunately, this is horrible to say, but I think this is just one of another NFL owner scandal. The NFL owners have not had great track records over the years, whether it's the Washington Redskins or Jerry Jones' beloved whatever
Jerry
it is. Jerry Richardson, right? For whatever reason, the NFL owners have not been completely out of the news. And I guess that could be the second part of this segment, is ranking which ones are the worst, because, some of them have been pretty bad.
Yeah. This one is gigantic, gargantuan proportion of a huge story. And I haven't seen a lot of people out there talking about it, Cole. And I wonder, are we going to see, because you don't see this very often, are we going to see it? Should we see it? Tolos, text in at 844-326-3663, the Joy Law Firm text line. Should Steve Tisch, the co-owner of the Giants, be forced to sell his stake in the team after being found heavily in the Epstein files? Text in 844-FAN-PHONE. You can message in on the stream as well, Cole. He was a 50% stakeholder in the Giants until a couple of years ago. The Koch family bought into this thing. Of course, the Koch family, they got their hands in everything. I didn't expect. Now, when the Epstein files have been a massive story in political landscapes and across the internet and the news for a couple of years now, the expectation that more and more and more of these documents are going to come out. I never had a thought in my mind that a team owner, a major stakeholder, not a majority stakeholder, but a major stakeholder in an NFL team would be caught up in this thing, especially to what appears to be fairly depraved levels like this guy is.
See, that's where you and I kind of disagree. It doesn't surprise me at all. It doesn't. And again, I know this is terrible to say this, but this is kind of just the world that we're in, where these NFL owners, their moral high ground's not really high. And their, morals kind of like an oxymoron, because, you look at what, like I just said, some of them have done over the past 4 or 5 decades, Diesel, and there have been some pretty egregious acts. Now, all that to say, you saying that you're surprised that an NFL owner is involved by it, or involved with it, rather, I think might surprise the general public as well. And it is a big story, but I guess I don't know why I feel this way, but when I saw the story, it was almost like, it really doesn't surprise me that a guy who has all this money and thinks he has all this power is involved in these kind of things, because you know what, Diesel, we've seen over the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decades, as long as sin's been around in this world, we've seen people with money and power think that they're above everything and everybody. So Unfortunately, I have to disagree with you. It doesn't surprise me too much.
Now, I know that there's a lot going on in this country right now, and so it may distract a little bit from this release. 3 million pages of Epstein documents released. Steve Tisch's name among a ton of other big-name individuals mentioned in this release. Again, Steve Tisch's name out there 440 times. He was featured in there, emailing back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein about all different kinds of things, including, some fairly mundane stuff like financing movie productions and investment opportunities. Among Cole, what are the worst of the worst, the damning conversations about women. In one document, a woman named Katya emailed Epstein telling him what she would be wearing in a supposed meeting with Steve Tisch. She said that she knew that he was an Oscar-winning producer and a Giants owner and said she would love to meet him. She provided her phone number, a series of emails back and forth about them trying to meet. Epstein told Tisch that she was a microbiology major, that she was studying and wouldn't be able to travel and see him during the week. He ultimately wrote back, Steve did, well, never heard back from her. Oh, well. So I guess emailing back and forth about soliciting prostitution is not necessarily a crime. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but they never actually met up. They apparently never actually hooked up, but that is certainly not the worst of the emails.
No, and just because it's a crime doesn't make it right. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And that's the problem with our society and the world we live in. And you go back to what I said about moral high ground, and obviously, people look at these kind of stories and think, oh, well, a guy like this, and I would assume this Tisch, he's pretty old, right?
76 years old.
76 now.
Yep.
And you talking about emails being sent. So I guess he's so old, emails were the form of communication, right? Like that was me and you texting back and forth. Going back to what we were just mentioning, did he commit any crimes? Did he do anything illegal? Maybe not. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. The fact of the matter is, people knew, Diesel, that this guy was muckety muck, that this guy wasn't a good guy.
Right.
I would assume when you associate yourself with somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, you know what they're doing, you know what their involvements are, you know what they have going on. So for the Giants owner, and for anybody else, I do find it hard for them to say, well, I didn't know that anything else was, the guy, you knew what he was involved with. I would imagine you knew all the extent of what was happening.
Yeah, this is the one that really, look, emailing back and forth saying, hey, your assistant, your friend, this so-and-so girl, I kind of liked her. Can you get us together? I'm not sure that's necessarily, I don't know if that meets the threshold of soliciting prostitution or anything like that, but there was one email where he asked if a certain individual was a pro or a civilian. That's when you know full well he knows exactly what he's asking for, right? He's asking,
not a pro football player.
Is this just a random woman or is this a prostitute? That's what he was asking. Yeah. Is she a pro or is she a civilian? And then at one point, Epstein in one of his emails said, hey, do you have a phone number that we can talk about this over the phone? Because I don't like having records of these conversations.
Yeah. Now, Tisch did say
huge.
What was interesting is not long after the publication, the Giants provided the following statement, Diesel, from Tisch, where he said, we had a brief association. You talked about it, exchanging emails, yada, yada, yada. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island. As we all know, or as we all know now, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with.
There is one email, the email back and forth about Katya, where he talks about having been at Epstein's house at one of his parties. So I'm not sure that statement, maybe he didn't go to his island.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that statement really holds up the way that the Giants want it to. And the Giants, by God, they need all the good publicity they can get right now. Right.
Well,
I mean, they've been in a tough spot for a number of years. And this is just one more punch to the gut. And here's where I'm getting at. Should the NFL, which the threshold to force an owner to sell his stake in a team is very, very hard to meet. And they do it intentionally because they don't want the threshold to reach this point, lowering and potentially exposing more and more owners to situations where they might be forced to sell their teams. But as this information is coming out, Cole, and it does violate a lot of the NFL's constitutions and bylaws, do you think that this elevates to the point where they should force him to sell his 45% stake in the Giants?
Well, you asked the question, and I think you answered the question as well, Diesel, just now. I think you just answered it when you asked the question. So you go back, number one, and look at other situations like Dan Snyder, right? What happened in Washington? You've heard other scandals before. You've heard Jerry Jones being involved with certain things. And again, this Steve Tisch guy is one of, I would imagine, again, I don't know, one of many people involved from a sports world with Jeffrey Epstein, Diesel. I just can't imagine that Steve Tisch is the only sports person that's involved, right?
When I said that I was surprised that he was involved in this, it's mostly because I didn't know his name, right?
No, I don't think anybody did.
You hear about the Dan Snyders of the world, and you know for a long time leading up to what's going to happen with his ownership, that this is a bad guy, that this is coming down the pipe. I didn't know anything about Steve Tisch. I'd never heard that name before.
No, I hadn't either. Now, you talked about violating policies, guidelines, whatever. NFL ownership rules don't allow other owners to remove someone simply based on public perception or unproven associations, right? Owners, Diesel, are usually protected unless there's criminal conviction or violation of league rules. So I think this comes down to, for the NFL and for the other owners, kind of going back to the whole Dabo Sweeney and the tampering thing. Well, are these other owners gonna call Steve Tisch out? You know what I mean? Like, do they have?
It's true.
Do they have things under their rug they don't want people to know about?
But
I don't know.
This is, it goes from being an acute situation with, I'm just gonna, owner of team A got involved with something, versus the Epstein files. This is a gigantic global story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, has he been convicted of anything yet? No, of course he hasn't. But, the bylaws do state anything that damages the integrity of the league, anything that violates league rules or fiduciary duties, anything that brings public disrepute to the NFL. It triggers the process. If Roger Goodell could open an investigation into Steve Tisch, it could open up more. Like, Roger Goodell, I think, is probably the linchpin in this situation now. Does he want to open up an investigation into Steve Tisch, and then can it lead to something more?
Well, you just said disrespectful, and you mentioned disrepute. I don't know that what he did is any more egregious than the product that's been on the field. So, you know what I mean? I mean, like, God, the Giants stink. So he should be fired for them stinking, number one, to go on full Dewey here, right? And then number two, no, accountability does matter. Transparency and accountability matters, not just if you're an NFL owner, but in life in general. And, people learn that as time goes on, Diesel. And I think a lot of people learn it through, mistakes and lessons. Mm-hmm. And when you are an NFL owner and you have this kind of story, I do think it's important to say, hey, look, there needs to be transparency. There needs to be accountability, and what that looks like, I think that's up to, you mentioned it, Goodell, and those who do. I think they will look into it for sure.
But see, this has always been one of my major issues, and one of the biggest reasons why I could never be a hardcore, deep into it NFL fan, because the way the NFL has handled issues like this is always so wishy-washy. It's a pendulum swing. They either go super hard on this one player for this violation, and then they don't punish this player for that violation, and then they swing back to the heavy punishment, and they swing back to the light punishment. I understand that where I'm going with this, are they meeting the threshold of a forced sale? Now, forced sales don't happen very often. But a lot of owners will voluntarily sell their portion of the team. Jerry Richardson voluntarily sold the Carolina Panthers to get out from under that situation. So it's not very often that a forced sale actually happens. And if they wanted to force a sale, it would take 3 quarters. So 24 out of the 32 owners, or 23, I guess, because the one owner, I don't know if he'd be able to vote in his own situation, but it would be a very, very difficult thing to make a forced sale happen.
No, and look, the optics of it for Roger Goodell, you talked about like the pendulum swing of law and order, Diesel. Unfortunately, that's kind of what it's become, right? I think the optics do matter, and I think Roger Goodell understands that because the optics do matter, there does have to be transparency. What I don't know is, and you may know this or have it written down, I don't know if the NFL has ever done this before in terms of forcing someone to sell, because it is like a nuclear option, right? I don't know if the NFL's done that without like clear and legal league violations being broken. I don't know if this would be uncharted waters. It doesn't feel like, and to my knowledge, Diesel, that this is something that's been done before. But going back to what I said, it's not like it's something that's minute. It's not something like it's just a small little issue. And I do think Roger Goodell will be looking into it. I just don't know if I expect anything to come of it.
I do believe Dan Snyder was forced to sell.
He? Okay.
I do believe. Now, again, Jerry Richardson was a voluntary sale.
That's right.
I think Dan Snyder was a forced sale. I'm not 100% certain on it.
That sounds right.
No, I take that back. Here, no, I do have that written down. No, the NFL. So Dan Snyder eventually chose to sell his portion of the team. Now they can't take it. They can't. But I think take your 50%, 45% stake and give you pennies on the dollar. They have to give him fair market value. It just means that individual will get paid out for his portion of the team, but he can't be involved anymore.
But I would imagine that there was immense pressure for Dan Snyder to sell, whether he was forced to sell or he willingly sold. Diesel. Let's say he willingly sold. I don't believe he willingly sold. I don't believe he just said, I woke up on a Thursday and decided I'm going to sell the Redskins. I think there was probably so much pressure is what I'm getting at from league owners. And I guess to answer your original question, that's what this comes down to, right? If something's done, will it have to be done because there's pressure from other owners? And do we believe that other owners will pressure Roger Goodell in the NFL or Tisch to sell? And I don't know. I think in a perfect world, you would like to say, I think the other NFL owners will do that. I don't really have faith that they'll pressure this to go anywhere.
How do you not, though? If you pressured Jerry Richardson for sexual harassment allegations and he voluntarily sold his team, in the NBA, Donald Sterling was the only modern example of a true forced sale. And the evidence for him was pretty heavily focused around sexual harassment allegations, wrongful termination allegations, and racial allegations. I mean, if that's the standard of what happened to Donald Sterling and what he got himself into, and we have the standard and the precedent of Jerry Richardson and Dan Snyder, how do you not?
Well, they might have.
How do you as Roger Goodell say, hey, women, come to our football games, consume our product, when you've got a guy who owns 45% of the team who shows up in the Epstein files over 400 times, including very clear solicitation of prostitution, and you say, nah, it's fine. We're not going to worry about that guy. We're going to let him continue to own his 45%.
You might have a new stadium coming. I mean, you know what I mean?
I do wish in these situations that now it's a league rule. You can't have this anymore. The Packers are the only team that are grandfathered in. I would love to see scandalous ownership that has to sell to get out from underneath these scandals, be able to sell the team back to individual stakeholders. When it's an egregious scenario like this, I don't want a billionaire selling to another POS billionaire. I would want the people to be able to own a stake in this team, because we've all seen the way the Packers have run and been run over the past 65 years. Sure. To me, that's a model of how the league should run.
And I'm surprised the Packers are still the only team, right?
The only one.
And I'm surprised by that. I do understand what you're saying from a stakeholder perspective. We don't see it often in sports, so it's almost like foreign to us to see a team owned by the state. I don't know how many, and we'll look this up later on. I don't know, not just in football, how many pro organizations are structured like the Packers. I'd say they're probably the only one, or one of the only ones, Diesel, not just in pro football, but in all of pro organizations. I'm talking baseball, hockey, football, you name it, basketball, that I just couldn't imagine there's many organizations that are structured from a stakeholder perspective like the Green Bay Packers are.
I mean, there's a few, not a lot. I mean, in the NFL, the Green Bay Packers are the only one, and that's because there was a league rule in 1960 that banned public ownership. So we're not going back to that. I think that would be a great way to do it. I really wish that they would do it that way. Of course, that's not going to happen because billionaires protect billionaires.
Yeah, unfortunately they do. I don't know, before we run off the break, to kind of put a bow on it, will anything come of it? I think it should. Do I think it actually will? I would probably lean no. Wouldn't you?
I really wish it would.
Yeah.
I really wish it would get this scumbag out of ownership of this team.
Yeah.
But I don't have any faith in them to do anything about it, which again plays into my deep-seated distrust of ownership in the NFL.
When we come back, Diesel, we mentioned this briefly last week, and boy, it's just continuing to gain traction, which I don't know is a good thing, but Mike Vrabel spoke on this, and it's time for us to give our thoughts on it. The Super Bowl's in 6 days. Drake May didn't practice Thursday or Friday. Why? What do we know? What's the latest? How does that change what happens on Sunday? We'll get into it next. case you didn't know, has a pretty big game on Sunday. And, when you play in a game in the NFL, particularly a Super Bowl, you want to be healthy. However, Drake May, big deal or no big deal, big deal or no biggie, didn't practice on Thursday due to an illness. Okay, so he had an illness on Thursday, didn't practice. He did not practice on Friday due to the shoulder injury. I don't know what Wednesday looked like. I will tell you the Patriots are now in California getting ready for the big game on Sunday. But big deal or no biggie when it comes to Drake May and this shoulder injury, the illness, obviously he'll probably recover, Diesel, with IVs and all that stuff by Sunday. It's something you and I mentioned last week, though, when it comes to the quarterback of the New England Patriots and this new shoulder injury.
How much can a quarterback, especially, because that's one of the most mentally demanding positions on the field, how much can a quarterback learn and then be able to repeat down the line in an actual game when you're just learning in the classroom, right? And you can sit and watch a lot of film. He can think about what the other team's defensive tendencies are. But if he can't practice against those tendencies, if he can't actually go out there and throw the football and can't be 100%, you got to think that there's a negative effect there. There's no way that it doesn't.
No, I agree with you.
Otherwise, nobody'd ever practice.
Sure, right? Practice. Allen Iverson said that, what are you talking about? I don't need a practice? No, here's where I am on it. I agree with you in the sense of those practice reps this week leading up to the big game. If he does practice, if he doesn't practice, they're important. But here's my take, and this might be a hot take. It might be an overreaction. I don't know. You can classify it how you want, Diesel, but my opinion on this Drake May injury is, and Grayson Mann's not going to like this at 422. Don't tell him I said this, please, Diesel. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's my opinion on it. Doesn't matter if he's healthy. Doesn't matter if he's not healthy. It doesn't matter if his shoulder works. Doesn't matter if his shoulder doesn't work. I just don't simply think it matters. Could I be wrong? Sure. I could be wrong. I don't think he's going to win the game if he's 100% healthy. I don't think he's going to win the game if he's 4% healthy. I don't think the Patriots stand a chance on Sunday. I know that's not a great, wonderful, spicy, deep, analysis-driven thought, but it doesn't matter, Diesel. Hey, they're not going to win.
Michael Jordan won Game 5 of the NBA Finals with the flu. Okay,
bad pizza.
Yeah, bad pizza. So they want you to believe it can happen, right? We've all heard stories of teams that were a little under the weather, teams where their star wasn't feeling 100%, whatever. And they played above themselves. They used it as a motivating factor.
Tolos, is it a big deal? Is it no biggie? 844-326-3663. Again, the Super Bowl is in 6 days. Where do you stand on the Drake May injury? We'll have audio coming up at 6 o'clock in the audio blitz from Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel. By the way, shout out to Leprechaun of Lyman, Diesel, who on the YouTube stream commented and said, unfortunately, leprechauns can't fly. Listening to you guys at the airport, waiting for my flight heading to where's he heading? Tucson, Arizona, right?
It's pronounced Tucson.
Tucson? Do you have your Tucson?
Tucson AZ.
Tucson, Arizona. What song is that? There's a famous song with Tucson.
Is it the I've Been Everywhere?
Yeah, that's right. Willie Nelson.
Cash?
Or is that Johnny Cash?
I've Been Everywhere was Johnny Cash, right?
Yeah. I don't know why I said Willie. No, you're right. It is Johnny Cash. It is. So shout out to the Leprechaun of Lyman on his way to Tucson, Arizona. Be safe. Hopefully.
What's going on in Tucson?
I don't know. It's a good question. He also says this is the age of entitlement, Dewey. That isn't going to work.
Well, Dewey says if Drake May doesn't practice, that he shouldn't be allowed to play.
Yeah, Dewey, that's a great idea. Great idea. We're not going to let him play in the Super Bowl, right? Because he didn't practice. Who else? I mean, this is bad for me not to know this, and I will admit I don't know because I don't follow the Patriots. Grayson Mann will know. Do you know off the top of your head who the Patriots' backup quarterback is?
I just Googled it. Okay. That's the only reason I know.
Josh Dobbs?
Yeah, Josh Dobbs. Oh,
you're a Tennessee volunteer, right?
Hey, Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is a literal rocket scientist.
He is.
He studied aeronautical engineering at Tennessee.
He did. Very smart guy.
He's so smart that he has to shave his hair off so the ideas can just soak right in real quick.
Problem is, this is the Super Bowl, not the spelling bee, right? And I don't know that Josh Dobbs, I don't know. We'll talk to Grayson. We're going to talk Clemson with Grayson, man, at 422. But
don't forget, Tommy DeVito's on this team, too.
Is he really?
Yeah.
They're carrying 3 quarterbacks. So he got traded from the New York Giants, and now he's New England Patriot. I forgot about that. That's right, because we talked about him not having to leave, the area.
What was his nickname? He had a nickname when he was in New York. What did they call him? Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, there was a nickname. Remember, it was him or his agent. Remember his agent, the one that had the slick hair and the kind of gangster look a little bit. I don't know. They
called Tommy Cutlets.
Cutlets. That's right.
Called him
Tommy Cutlets. I don't know.
He'd be out there slicing up the Seahawks,
Yeah, and again, Diesel, I don't know that me saying it doesn't matter. Kind of sounds disrespectful toward Drake May. I like Drake May a lot. The reason I say it doesn't matter is this. He hadn't really been great in the last few games. Like, I've watched the playoff games. He's been good. He hadn't blown me away. I'll tell you this. The most impressive thing about Drake May, to me, is his ability to make plays with his legs. And that's incredible. That's great. But the Seahawks are going to have a spy at linebacker, and they're not going to let that happen. I'm telling you. He may get a few big plays with his legs, but the reason I say it doesn't matter is I just think that we talked about this last week a little bit. I don't think that the New England Patriots stand a chance on Sunday. I really don't. I don't think they stand a chance. I think this is the easiest lock in the history of the Super Bowl. I think the Seahawks -4.5 is the easiest pick ever in the history of the Super Bowl. And again, I know Patriots diehard fans will disagree with me, including Grayson Mann. But when you talk about a shoulder injury, the shoulder he's throwing with, I mean, that is important. So for me to say it doesn't matter, I understand that like the injury matters, but I don't know what it limits in terms of what he can do on the field, Diesel. You talked about getting those reps and practice and his deep ball, his arm strength. I mean, I don't have the biggest shoulders, but I would imagine your shoulders have a lot to do with your ability to sling it down the field and take the top off of a defense, right?
My conspiracy brain still wants to say that all of this is just a ruse, right? It's an albatross. It's a red herring. His shoulder's not actually injured at all. He's going to go out there and throw the ball for 275.
Wow.
And win the football. He's going to win the game with his arm.
Woo!
I would love to say that I believe that's true, but I don't think that I do.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Patriots, taking nothing away from them, they're a good team. Their defense, I don't think, has been talked about enough. Their defense has been really, really good, and especially in that game 2 weeks ago, almost a week and a half ago, Diesel, their defense was phenomenal. They've been phenomenal all playoffs. Drake May's injury, though, here's the question. Let's say he is pretty banged up on his shoulder. Let's say he plays, which I expect him to, and let's say he doesn't play the best game. Will we now look at this Super Bowl differently if Seattle does win the game? You remember, like, was it Denver and Seattle a few years back? Not a few years back. It's been probably 10 years now. But when Seattle just waxed Peyton Manning and that game wasn't close, Peyton Manning was ancient at the time in quarterback years, right? But we looked at that Broncos team and thought, my gosh, how'd they even get to the Super Bowl? Because the Seahawks waxed them. I'm not saying it's going to be that bad again, but I just do wonder if it does happen and the game's really not the best, not the most competitive. Will we look at this Patriots team and think, maybe they got lucky. Maybe they got fortunate going against the Broncos team without their quarterback and Bo Nix, going against a lot of bad teams this year. They did have one of the easier schedules in the NFL.
I think that's a little bit of moving the goalposts, right? I mean, all that matters is you get here. That's sort of trying to apply college football logic. Oh, well, they had a weak schedule. Yeah. Oh, they didn't look good doing it, so they're clearly not that good. That's not how the NFL works, right? The NFL works. It's like the NCAA tournament in a way. It's advance and survive. No matter how you do it, advance and survive. Winning the game is all that matters. We don't have to look at it and say, well, you only won by 3, so you're clearly not all that good. That's not how the NFL works. Seattle favored by 4.5 in this game call. I'm surprised that as this news has continued to come out that this number hasn't drifted up a little bit to 5.5 points.
There's been very little movement.
Right.
So here's where I will go back to what you just said. I agree with you in the sense of like the NFL's the NFL. Everybody's good, right? I don't get caught up in like difficult schedules or easy schedules in the NFL. However, I do think it's fascinating to look at the Patriots' opponents this year. You look at their schedule, 11 games, Diesel, on an NFL schedule. That's a big chunk of your schedule, right? 11 games. 11 games that the New England Patriots played were against the 10 worst teams in the NFL. The first worst record, the second worst record twice, the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, twice, ninth, and 10th. So I'm with you, but like the Titans stunk, the New Orleans Saints stunk, the Jets stunk really bad, the Giants stunk really bad, Cleveland was bad, Las Vegas was bad, Miami was bad. You play who's on your schedule, though, right?
Yeah, it's not their fault. I mean, they didn't make themselves a bad schedule. Maybe that means the NFL scheduling office needs to tweak their algorithm a little bit more and add some better teams to their schedule. I don't know if it should work like that. If you get to the Super Bowl or you get to the championship round of the playoffs, should your schedule for next year be tweaked a little bit to make it more difficult? I mean, I'm basically saying, are we going to make the good teams play better teams to prove it? Or are we going to sometimes allow them, and we talk about this in college football all the time, we allow them to have played a weak schedule, which allows them an easier path to get there. You still got to go win the games, right? You still have to win them. That's not easy to do.
Well, I would say to answer that question, they already get enough punishment by getting the next to last pick, or if they win the Super Bowl, the last pick, right? They're already getting punished in a way. Think about it. They're being punished for making the Super Bowl in what, how many months from February to 2-3 month span? So you talk about not punishing them, but giving them a more difficult schedule. This is the way the NFL set up. If you make the Super Bowl, you are being punished as an organization in a few short months with either the last draft pick, Diesel, or the next to last draft.
But I'm okay with it. I don't want this to turn into the NBA where you could still get a high draft pick.
Yeah, and to be fair, going back to what I said, okay, the Patriots have played some crap teams. Let's review it. For example, one of the things that I wrote down, the Patriots did beat 3 teams that were really bad, right? Or 2 teams in particular in this case. The Falcons and Dolphins were really bad. The Patriots also beat the Buffalo Bills, Diesel. But to be fair, like you said, you do have to play who's on your schedule. While the Patriots beat the Falcons, Dolphins, and the Bills lost to the Falcons, Dolphins, and oh, look at that, the Patriots. So they took care of business and taking nothing away from Drake May. That guy's been phenomenal this year. People have to remember, Diesel, they had the 4th overall draft pick. If you're picking 4, you didn't have a good season.
Yeah.
They were horrendous. Last 2 years, Gerard Mayo, they started tapering off with Bill Belichick. If he wouldn't have tapered off, maybe he'd be in the Hall of Fame right now, right? But nonetheless, this is an organization that's just been bad over the last 3 to 4, maybe even 5 years.
Dewey says the NFL should have a playoff committee.
That is the worst idea you've ever had. And Dewey, you've had a lot of bad ideas, buddy.
Dewey, I got a bone to pick with you coming up at 5 o'clock in our Overreaction Monday. I just wonder if Dewey can step up at 5 o'clock and do what we all know Dewey should do today. We'll see. We'll see if he has the guts to do it.
Our Tolos don't have a great track record of doing that, by the way.
I don't know who you're talking about. When we come back, Cole, today is a sad day in college football because one of the biggest names in the game who had a phenomenal long-time career is hanging up the headset. What is his team going to do? I'm talking about the Gus bus pulling into the garage. We'll get into it next. Cole, Gus Malzahn is hanging up his headset. He is retiring from coaching after many, many years in the profession. A phenomenal head coach, had just one losing season in his entirety as a head football coach, won a national title as the OC at Auburn in 2010, holds an SEC championship and a national championship appearance with Auburn as their head coach in 2013. And he's getting heat from Florida State fans for retiring 6 months before the season starts. Fair or unfair?
Unfair, of course, because college football fans are I don't know the adjective.
They're like,
idiots.
He's doing this now?
Yeah.
Now?
We wanted him to do it the day we lost again back during the fall,
well,
right?
They wanted him to do it 5 years ago. They wanted him to retire before ever actually took the job.
He'll go down as one of the better coaches. Yeah. And I know he kind of bounced around. And, he's 60 years old. 60 is not really, really old, but he has been coaching 35 years. So more than half of his lifetime, he has been coaching. I get it. Coaching burns you out when you've done it for 35 years. I have friends that have, done it for close to 35 years. And it's like anything. When you do something for 35 years, these are more than half of your life, there's going to become a day where you're ready to hang it up. Now, to compare and contrast here, he's 60, hanging it up. How old is that? Well, Chad Morris, Clemson's new offensive, not new again.
New old.
Yeah, offensive coordinator is 57. So he's only 3 years younger. Chad Morris is only 3 years younger than Gus Malzahn, which is interesting.
So he won 62.8% of his games. Not elite, but it's still pretty good. 63%. Let's round it up there. 63% would put him in the top 150 of all head football coaches, which is pretty good. Yeah. It puts him right there. Steve Sarkisian is at 631. Jim Levitt is there. I'm trying to see some other big time names. Everybody knows Pappy Waldorf, of course. He's got a better win percentage than Kirk Ferentz, and Kirk Ferentz is going to go down as one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
Even though his win percentage isn't amazing, it's really good for where he coached a majority of his career, for all of his career. But Gus Malzahn was better than that, and he decided. I think he was one of the few that saw the writing on the wall early and said, you know what? It's better to be an OC at a program where you don't have to do nearly as much work as you do as a head coach. Your job is just to sit there and scheme. Well, just to sit there and come up with stuff. And last year, 2025, Florida State had the best offense in the ACC, even though they didn't win a ton of games. They had the most prolific offense in the league.
So he was a head coach for 11 years total. Look at his offensive coordinator time as an OC, rather. He was a offensive coordinator for 3, 4, 5, 6, almost as long as an OC as he was a head coach. Now, he was the Auburn OC, as you mentioned, from 2009 to 11, left for Arkansas State. I don't know why.
To be the head coach.
But
head coaching opportunity.
At Arkansas State?
Head coaching opportunity. See, this was before it was hot OCs. Yeah. Power 4 OCs were the number one target. It was you had to drop down to either an FCS school or a G5 school, get yourself some experience before you got that head.
And then he didn't last long. He was there for a year. Yeah. And then went right back to Auburn for 7 more years, then UCF for 3 years. And you know what? People won't think of this guy as one of the all-time greats, but you said it, top 150. That's pretty good. I mean, he's a solid head coach, and
thousands and thousands of guys that have ever coached college football. Being in the top 150, I think, is a massive accomplishment.
And you could probably argue he was just as good as a OC, maybe even a better OC than he was head coach. You said it. I mean, Florida State offense wasn't the reason they were bad this year, right? And him coming in for 1 year, I think it is interesting to see him only at Florida State for a year here in this last stint. I thought he would give it a couple more. Yeah. But did he see writing on the wall for Norv? I don't know. It's interesting.
He's interestingly enough, his career kind of parallels Lane Kiffin's. Not that they were similar personalities, but Lane's teams outside of, the last couple of months, Lane's teams have never really been involved in major violations. Lane would just up and leave
Yeah.
earlier than a lot of people liked him to up and leave. And that's kind of Gus Malzahn's MO as well. He would just say, okay, time's up. I'm out of here. But again, he never had a losing season as a head coach until his last year at UCF.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
How many coaches can say that?
Yeah, not many. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to old Gus, and maybe we'll see him on the – you said he's hanging his headset up. I don't know.
Maybe we'll see him on TV or
put
something.
A different kind of headset on, right? We'll see.
Florida State is promoting Tim Harris Jr. to be their next offensive coordinator. He had served as the co-OC with Gus. He'd served as wide receivers coach, passing game coordinator. So there's a lot of continuity. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep him at that high level and be the number one team in the ACC. 6th nationally, by the way. As much as Florida State struggled this year to win games, they had the 6th best offense in the country.
Yeah. JB says Gus played for a Natty in 2013. Well, he won one, didn't he?
He won one as an OC.
OC in 2010?
With Cam. That was the year Cam Newton won it.
Yeah. So he's national championship coach, is an offense, as an offensive assistant. So you got a ring. That's a lot more than a lot of coaches have. Diesel, a new perspective I have on something that you and I and the rest of Clemson fans, Clemson nations had a few days and almost 2 weeks now to kind of meditate on, just over 2 weeks now. Going back to something we just mentioned, Dabo Swinney and his rant about 2 weeks ago on the tampering situation. I want to see if this new perspective that I have resonates with you and the Tolos. Where do you stand on my new perspective a couple of weeks post Swinney? We also have Grace and ManTigerNet.com coming up in about 25 minutes on the show at 4:22. A lot more. We'll hear from you as well next. You know, when you let things marinate, sometimes the product, the thought of conversation, or the meat that you're smoking, Diesel, looks different, tastes different, and smells different a couple of days after you marinate it, right? That's just how it works. Hope I'm not making you hungry on this Monday. But after Dabo Sweeney's rant has marinated, in my mind, over the past couple of weeks now, as it's just, over 2 weeks ago since he went on the rant about Luke Farrelly and the tampering. I do think my thoughts have changed on it a little bit, not like drastically, but I want to bring this to the table, get your thoughts on Diesel as well as the Tolo. So it's open for discussion. We want to hear from you at 844-326-3663. Joy Law Firm text line is open. The phone lines are also open as well. Again, that's 844-FAN-PHONE, FANFONE. But before we get into that, did you have a fun snow weekend, Diesel? Did you have fun in the snow?
I had a great time in the snow. Took the dog out in the snow.
Yep.
He's not a long-haired dog. He's a Doberman, short-haired dog, and he's always been afraid of the cold. And every time you'd open up the door and it was less than about 50 degrees, he'd say, "Oh, hell no, I'm coming back inside." Until he got an idea for how much fun it is to romp around and play in the snow.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't get him back inside. It'd be like 25 degrees out there for Saturday when it was coming down heavy. And he was like, "I don't want to come back in. This is fun."
It's fun. And you know what? I told a lot of people over the weekend, I think I'm 29. I think this is one of the biggest snows I've seen in my lifetime, just in terms of Boiling Springs, Gaffney. I spent a lot of the weekend up in Gaffney, and I think it was 8 or 9 inches from what we saw. So a lot up our way. I hadn't seen that kind of snow.
You got more than we got. We got about 4 or 5 inches in Malden. They're saying up in Charlotte they got about a foot.
They did. Yeah.
So it was bad. And the roads were bad because people had to get out there in it. They had to go see it. And of course, there were interstates that were
all
blocked
bad
up.
stuff.
When they really needed to get snow plows on the interstates to clear them off, there were pileups happening and backups happening on the interstate.
Yeah, I think the main roads around the upstate are really, really good. Obviously, some of the back roads still pretty icy. A lot of it did improve today, but a lot of schools have already called tomorrow off. I know Spartanburg County is out tomorrow. I saw District 5. Again, there's no Burns game tomorrow night because of that. So a lot of the back roads still icy, but I think tomorrow's supposed to get up to like 48, 49. So
I believe it. We drove down East North Street yesterday, and there were some spots on East North Street about halfway between downtown and 85 that were still really snowy and icy. So there's still some spots where that sun doesn't hit. It's still icy.
JB says we got close to 7 inches in Reedville. So yeah, the certain parts got some major snow. Hope you Tolos had a lot of fun. I know I did. It was 2 straight days of just sledding, 4-wheelers, just a lot of fun. And you know what? Those kind of snows you're not going to get. I don't know that we'll get one like that for another 20 years. So
sad.
It is. It's where we live.
That's
I mean,
sad.
You have to kind of take them in, right? Because in South Carolina, you're just not used to it. So
if only people would drive electric cars, we could cool off the globe and get more of those.
That's right. More snow days. Dewey says he didn't get any at all. Dewey, we'll get to you at 5 o'clock. We're going to get to you. I want to know from you and Clemson fans out there, especially you Gamecock fans, that's okay too, but Clemson fans want to hear from you, 844-326-3663. Have your thoughts on like Dabo's rant, Diesel changed at all in a 2-week span? And I'll ask Grayson Mann of TigerNet this question as well. But you remember last week when we talked to Grayson Mann, Diesel, his thoughts were, hey, this could be like eye-opening for college football. This could be great. This could be huge, yada, yada, yada. 2 weeks after Dabo's rant, here's where I am on it. Was it great? Yeah, it's great. Was it cool that Dabo did that? Yeah, it's cool. Is it going to change anything? I don't think so, but the main thoughts that I have 2 weeks after Dabo's tampering rant are, I don't know that Dabo accomplished anything near what he thought he would accomplish with that rant.
I think Dabo thought that he was going to start an avalanche.
Yeah,
and all these coaches were going to come out. Now, if the NCAA made some kind of a statement that, hey, we want to end this, we're gonna have 3 months of amnesty. Any report that comes out in the next 3 months, we want to know what's going on. Right? We want proof of what's going on. We're not going to punish anybody for it, but essentially now everybody's on a 2-strike system.
Yeah. And you said
Don't
you
do it
thought
again.
Dabo was going to create or Dabo thought, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
And the reality is, even the smallest of rock hasn't even fallen. Here's where I am on it. Going back to what we talked about last week. Let's say, and I wrote this down, let's say a kid goes from Duke to Texas, right? Texas tampered, and we're going to get into some audio about this in just a second. But if a kid from Duke goes to Texas, Texas Longhorns tampered. Diesel Duke knows that Texas tampered, right? So Duke claims, hey, NCAA, whoa, Texas tampered one of our players, right? So they're now throwing their arms up. Well, Tulane goes, hey, Duke, you just tampered one of our players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to throw our hands up. And then JMU goes, Tulane, you just tampered one of our players. I think the chain reaction that Dabo Swinney, the Avalanche, what you said, that Dabo Swinney was hoping for in this tampering, court session that he had, he thought it was going to become public and it was going to be an avalanche where, it brought some kind of, I don't know if justice is the right word, but some kind of solution, some kind of enforcements. And in fact, I think the avalanche that did fall was an internal avalanche, Diesel, where schools almost like ran it through their thought process, ran it through their mind of, okay, well, we could do that. That sounds great. But as soon as we do it, we're going to have somebody pointing fingers back at us, and we don't want that.
So, I mean, we really, really need the NCAA to come down on Ole Miss for this and set precedent of what happens when you get caught tampering. Now, would it be great radio for us to every day for the next 6 months to be able to walk in and say, oh, this school said that school tampered and here's the receipts. That school said that school tampered and we have the receipts. It would be great radio.
Yeah.
I think it might get boring after, a couple of days. All right, somebody else tampered and here's more proof. Fine. Old hat, old story. Let's move on. Hopefully, if the NCAA comes down on Ole Miss, it teaches programs internally, hey, we better cut this out. Like, we better knock it off. Okay, we had our little heyday of when this was fun and we were able to do it. Nobody put our dirty laundry out there into the world, but now we know we have to stop doing this.
Well, it's almost like the crime shows that I love to watch, right? Where you like Blue Bloods or whatever the crime show it is. You pick the crime show where there's a guy or a female Diesel in law enforcement that's a dirty cop. You know what a dirty cop is. And everybody's surprised by the dirty cop until Dabo Swinney realizes he looks to his left and he looks to his right, and who he found out to be the dirty cop. Well, he looks to his right, and that cop was also dirty. And then the cop to his right was also dirty. So now he's like, well, who are the good guys here? And I think that's where Dabo Swinney kind of finds himself. I'm not saying Dabo Swinney is ignorant to any of this because I think he knows this, but I do believe he believed that something would fall of this. And I'm telling you, you use the word avalanche. I don't believe there's going to be the smallest pebble that falls from this.
So remember, a couple of years ago when Dabo said, as soon as players start getting paid, I'm going to get out of coaching.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know how Dabo feels now that it's 2 weeks into this and no one else has come out publicly to lock arms with him and join him on this. If Dabo feels like he is alone on this issue. So first of all, he's got guys getting paid. Second of all, there's guys getting tampered off of his roster. Third of all, he's the only one willing to call this thing out. Dabo may say, you know what? I got my 2 natties. I got about $100 million in the bank. I'm out. I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Screw all of you. I'm going home.
So let me tell you this. It's funny you bring that up because I had that thought on Friday. And again, I'm going to be careful with how I word this. I don't want to upset anybody. But people have thoughts. People have feelings until they realize their paycheck's going to be affected. So what am I getting at? You just said, Dabo Swinney said years ago, and he did, that the day that players start getting paid, guess what? He's out. You know who else thought the same thing? Everybody in Clemson's athletic program thought the exact same thing that Dabo Swinney thought. And then we had a guest on our show Friday who said, and his words were, I don't have an issue with a player making profit off of their name, image, and likeness. Mm-hmm. Boy, isn't it funny how your opinion changes when you realize you have to go. I mean, this is your livelihood. This is what you're getting paid for. Your strong core beliefs, Diesel, aren't going to change the product of the environment that you're in. You're going to either have to get out, which kills your paycheck, right? It doesn't matter if you're a football staffer or the head coach or the radio guy. It doesn't matter. Or you're going to have to do what all the other fish you're doing and swim in the same direction. You're not going to be able to turn around upstream and get all those other fish to turn around upstream with you.
Yeah.
It's funny how everybody's opinion changes once they realize it's their paycheck that they're talking about.
To me, it's one of three things. Either Dabo said, you know what, I kind of like cashing these big old paychecks, which is what you're talking about. Number two, it may be a bit of an ego thing to say, you know what, I want to be in coaching. And he said this, I want to be a leader of men. I want to be in coaching. If you want to do that and you don't want to deal with NIL, go coach at FCS school that doesn't have any NIL money to give out. You could still do the exact same job. You could still lead men, and there's not going to be this threat of NIL and this bugaboo that you have to deal with. Now, you may lose some guys from your FCS roster because they're moving up to other schools, but you're probably not going to be sitting on a mountain of cash that you can distribute to get guys to come to you. So it may be a little bit of an ego thing, Cole, to say, you know, I want to be able to fix this. Yeah, I want to be able to have it. I want to have it my way, but I also want to coach at the highest levels of college football. I'm here. I'm at the highest levels of college football. And maybe there's this idea that I can change some things. If I can get one coach, if I can get one other coach out there to change his mantra and come to my side, then I've led other coaches back down the quote-unquote righteous path of doing things the right way.
Problem is the path that we're on is so far removed from righteous, it's not even funny. So, you're not going to do that. Now, this audio you have, tee this up. This is an explanation of tampering, right?
This is a great piece of audio. I had it a couple days ago. We never got a chance to get to it. This is audio posted by Pat Forty, but it was Kamari Copeland, who is a football player for Virginia Tech, big kid, so I'm assuming he's probably a lineman, would be my guess. But here he is talking about the process from a player's standpoint of how you get tampered with. Here's Kamari.
From my experience, the tampering was pretty much like after the fourth game, our coach got fired, so it was like a bunch of stuff going on. There was one specific incident that was kind of insane, and I'm going to tell you. So, we get to week 8, and there was this one specific school that kept tampering. Hit me up, like coaches and stuff like that. I kind of brushed it aside. You got to think about it. It's like, I'm still trying to play good in the season. It's just a bunch of stuff going on. So we get to the 8th game. I'm having a pretty good game. We playing Louisville. I look in the crowd, and I see that the team that's tampering, they're in the crowd watching me play. Like, they're evaluating me. And it looked like a recruiter. He had his hat on and stuff like that. And it was just crazy. I could be tripping, but there's no way a school from that logo, there's no way a fan would wear that logo to a Virginia Tech game and sit right in the front. Like, it's just crazy. And then after the game, 2 days later, I get a text. All right, so this was happening during the season. So this is an example of tampering. This happens to all the good players and stuff. Good afternoon. I have a minimum of this on the table for you. To hop in the portal and stuff like that. This example, what tampering be.
So here's the message. It says, "Good afternoon. I have a minimum blank on the table for you in the fall portal. Not sure if you even have thought about the transfer portal, but would love to connect with you and your folks about the opportunity this week if you have some availability."
Yeah, and what I got from that, Diesel, is this. We need to remove the word tampering, because tampering, it's not even a problem. It's not even illegal. It feels like, and maybe I'm wrong, it feels like tampering's just part of the process. You know what I mean? And we talked about this about a month ago. If you remember, Dabo came out and said, hey, we're not going to tamper. We're going to wait until the portal opens. We're going to do things the right way. And a lot of Clemson fans were upset because they said, hey, you're not tampering, so you're not going to get a lot of these guys. That's the problem. If you're not tampering, you're not ahead of the game.
But it's a slippery slope to get to the point where you are the Ole Miss coach who is tampering with guys who are already on class, signed deals, taking classes, got an apartment, got a car, registered their taxes in the state of South Carolina. Yeah. I mean, it's like that old saying. It was a line in the movie The Devil's Advocate where he says, look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, but don't swallow. Swallow, but don't enjoy. So it's this slippery slope of adding one extra layer of wrongdoing here. And Dabo saying, I don't want to go down that pathway, even though, it goes against what he said a couple of years ago, which is as soon as we start paying players, I'm out.
Texter says Dabo had to go dad mode, Ole Miss. That comes from Coop and Greer. Another texter from the 662 says, Cole, you're using somebody else's material. I heard a podcast about that this morning. Well, hate to burst your bubble, texter. I do it every day. It's a 4-hour show. I get a lot of my material from other shows. I hate to burst your bubble. But if you thought every bit of it was original, pull the curtain back. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. That is sports radio. It's all recycled. What you watch on ESPN's recycled. So hate to burst your bubble there. Please send your check anyways. JB says, I don't know if you heard this audio, Diesel. JB talked about the kid from Alabama. He said, I watched the Florida-Bama basketball game, and the Florida student section kept chanting to the Bama player that came back after playing pro basketball, G League dropout, and also the Gators won by 23. Yes, that is true. I saw that. I love, going back to that story now before we run to a break here in a few minutes, the whole G League thing. I love it. I love I don't want to say humiliation, because nobody likes to be humiliated, but at the same time, this is the world we live in. It's cutthroat. I love student sections. I love crowds bringing it. And, it is it fair? I don't know. Is it the world we live in? It is. So I love to see it. Now, to put a bow on the Dabo Sweeney conversation, I want you, Diesel and the Tolos, to engage in a thought experiment and go to February the 2nd, 2027, which is 1 year from now. We have now been 2 weeks removed from this conversation. This thought experiment that I want you to do, and by the way, Texter, this is not recycled. This is original here, so you'll really like this. Do you think a year from now, Diesel, there will be any ripple effect whatsoever from what Dabo said in 2026 at the very beginning of the year? Because you do see, in sports and in everything, and you sometimes see, you talked about the avalanche. Sometimes it does have to be a very, 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 very small stone that's removed to cause the avalanche. And sometimes it can take a year, 2 years for that to happen. 1 year from today, though, what will the ripple effect be, in your opinion, from what Dabo said?
I do think that we're going to see some form of punishment come down on Ole Miss. I mean, they have NCAA investigators there. I mean, are they actually doing anything? Are they hanging out in Pete Golding's office with their feet on the table saying, yeah, Pete, we're gonna do something about this? I hope that we see some form of punishment come down on this. Otherwise, like Dabo said, I don't want to hear anybody else talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to hear about tampering again. I don't want to think about it. And hey, it's just going to be another one of those things that makes me care about my team's roster less and less and less. At that point, take the damn names off the backs of the jerseys. Don't even announce their names on TV when they make a big play, because I don't care anymore at that point. If the guy's going to be gone, if another school can just come in and throw a wad of cash at him, even if he's already on a deal, and they can just pull him off the roster, why would we even have rules against not transferring midseason?
I want to see, how if a mom or a dad's in the stands and their son, they have one son for one team and one for the other, and they have the jersey split. That's what I want to see come to college football. I want to see, if you were at 3 different schools or 4 different schools, I want that athletic program, their, what do you call it? The guy who's over the jerseys, equipment staff.
Equipment manager.
I want their equipment manager to have to piece together that jersey from every school you've been to. A little bit of Tulane.
Start looking like camo after a while.
A little bit of James Madison, a little bit of Clemson, a little bit of Cal, and now we've got down here at the stomach.
It's like that Lou Bega song.
Yeah. I'm good with it. That's what I want.
A little bit of Tulane on my side.
Yeah, I like
a little bit of Florida on my chest.
I love it. I love it. Bring it to college football immediately.
Let's get deep into the weeds on Clemson athletics, basketball, football, baseball, and everything else with Grayson Mann of TigerNet next. Well, it's talking season in college football. It's prep season for college baseball, and it's winning season for college basketball, especially if you are a fan of the Clemson Tigers. To talk about all of those, we bring on Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com at Gray_Man21, man with two N's. Before we get started with this and start talking Clemson, I just want to let you know that Cole gave your Patriots no chance to win the Super Bowl. Don't let that color the way you respond to him.
Okay.
But I just want to let you know.
I have it noted down now. That's another bookmark to add to the list.
Reasons why I don't like Cole Bryson. Why is your hat purple?
What's that?
Why is your Patriot stuff purple, Grayson?
Is it purple? It's blue.
No, it's purple.
It looks really blurple on our
one
screen.
Of those, like, is that dress back in the day where it's like, is it blue or yellow or whatever it was?
No, it is. All kidding aside, Diesel's right. He is right on this. And I want you to tell me why I'm wrong. You can certainly make me eat crow on Monday, a week from today, if I'm wrong, because I've been wrong once or 34 times before. But I want to know what your reaction to what I and Diesel and I talked about earlier when it comes to Drake May's injury. I asked the question at 3:20. What does this mean? He had an injury or an illness Thursday, shoulder injury, didn't practice Friday. My reaction was, Grayson, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if he's healthy. Doesn't matter if he's hurt. I don't think New England stands a chance. I think this is the easiest 4.5 points to ever be laid by Seattle. How am I right or wrong?
Interesting. Okay. So I think the Drake May thing is a tad overblown, and I've been listening to a lot of Boston media. I have a couple contacts up there just by nature of the fanhood and the connection, and they say it's not a big deal. Drake's going to play on Sunday. It's one of those things where everybody's beat up at this point. Yeah. I wouldn't expect it to be this sudden drop-off where he can't complete a 5-yard out. I don't think that's the story everyone will be talking about on Sunday. I will say he will be the crux here, because I will admit he has not been perfect in this postseason by any stretch. And for a Seattle team that's as complete as it gets across the board on defense, Drake's got to play an A to A- level game. But I think people are overlooking this Patriots defense, Cole. And I know you can look at the quarterbacks. You can say, yeah, CJ Stroud had a meltdown. I don't think that people are giving the Pats enough credit for that. Justin Herbert, the reputation is the reputation, but he was sacked 6 times in that game. And this Patriots pass rush has brought back Milton Williams, their top signee, Robert Spillane, and a guy to watch for who really hasn't been healthy all postseason. I think this Pats defense, they've been overlooked all year. I think they come up and they find a way to make Sam Darnold, a guy who has 25 turnovers on the season. I think that there's maybe a turnover or two that New England can force, and that's the difference in Santa Clara on Sunday night.
Grayson, a big crowd in Clemson on Saturday, given the weather. Another dominating defensive performance for the Tigers, holding Pitt to 16 first-half points, which sounds ludicrous to say about a college basketball game. The Tigers did have, an offensive lull there in the second half, but the game was never really in question. Is Pitt that bad, or is Clemson's defense really that good? And what did Brad Brownell have to say about giving up 36 second-half points after just 16 in the first?
Yeah, I think he attributed some of it to just the overall intensity wasn't there for a full 40 minutes. And I think for Pittsburgh in that first half, after looking back on it, a lot of open looks that just didn't fall through. But I think sometimes that's how you have to win. And I think Clemson's defense, the ability to switch 5 out, something that gave him a little bit of trouble a few weeks ago against NC State, sort of flipped on its head against Pittsburgh. So once again, Clemson finds a way to win. Was it impressive necessarily? Maybe not, depending on where you are. But you have to maybe account for the fact that Clemson's been basically buried in ice for 2 weeks. And so you have sort of that going against you. But I do think that Saturday's win, each win is going to be impressive from here on out, because it's all about the resume and how it stacks up in March. You can't have a loss like Pittsburgh on the docket. That's what gets you out of tournaments. And for Clemson, they're winning all the right games, and there's not really one loss on the resume right now, guys, that I point to and go, I think that might keep them out of this one.
No, I agree with you. Not a bad loss, in my opinion. Now, Diesel and I have said for a couple of weeks, Diesel or Grayson, that when you look at this Clemson schedule, we've been very impressed with what they've done. You talked about the win over Pitt, the win over Georgia Tech, the overtime win, or the overtime loss to NC State, obviously. a little small blemish, but before that, it was 9 or 10 straight. So they've been playing really good basketball, but Diesel and I have said for a couple of weeks that beginning Wednesday, this stretch of games that they're about to go on is really going to test them. Where do you stand on what you expect from this next stretch when you look at the road trip to Stanford, at Cal on Saturday, you come back and host Virginia Tech team that you should beat, but then the very next Saturday you're at Duke, Wake Forest, Florida State, Louisville, North Carolina, all in a month span, Grayson. Do you think that is where this team really gets battle tested the most?
Yeah, Cole, it's interesting because I think this West Coast trip, and we had talked to Brad Brownell about it this morning, is there's so much that goes into it where you have a 10 p.m. tip, essentially, Eastern Standard Time, but it's 7 p.m. over in Palo Alto. And so it's a lot of factors of, okay, how do you hydrate differently? How do you rest differently? Do we have to have a different type of shoot around to keep people up? At Clemson is in the air as we speak, traveling a day earlier just to adjust to the body clock of having to be out west for an entire week. So I think that if Clemson comes out of this trip goal, let's say 2-0, I think fans should be very impressed. I think ACC trips as well, returning back home, I think teams haven't been as successful. So maybe a Virginia Tech becomes a little bit more of a challenge just because of the adjustment you're having to make, the jet lag and all that. We've all felt that before, but we all haven't got to go play basketball a few days later. So certainly a lot of factors. Let me tell you guys, I am thrilled for that Duke game. I think that's going to be a massive test. Duke's one of the national title favorites. It's one of those games where Clemson can come out of Cameron Indoor unscathed. You really have to start having some different conversations about where this team could head.
Grayson, so many times when we talk and we hear from football coaches, they'll say, nameless, faceless opponent. The logo on the helmet doesn't mean anything. But when Brad Brownell is trying to get his team ready for Stanford specifically, that's a team that can jump up and score 85-90, and they can also be held to 45 points the way they were. I think it was the Notre Dame game. They were just atrocious offensively in that game. How does Brad, or what's his message to the team and how to prepare for a squad that can literally have a 50-point swing in their scoring output?
Yeah, he had talked about it this morning about just kind of that mentality they've had all year. And what really helps this group too is there's this balance that's been prevalent all year, Diesel. And so I think this group will be ready. They got let me tell you, Stanford's got a really talented freshman guard, Ibuka, who is averaging, I believe, 22 points a game. This freshman class is ridiculous across the country. We got guys like him, Boozer, and a couple of others nationwide that are just crushing it. And that'll probably be playing in the NBA next fall. But when you look at this Stanford team, I think they've lost 4 straight, not playing their best basketball. But overall, I think if you have a Clemson team or a group in the ACC that will be ready to go, I think Brownell's group is a strong candidate. He's the old sage now in this conference. He'll have the guys ready.
Yeah. It's interesting when you talk about Brad Brownell. I, over the years, Grayson, have definitely been critical of Brad, especially pre-portal and pre-NIL. Kind of a off-the-wall, big-picture question. Do you think Brad Brownell post-portal and NIL is what Clemson fans hoped Dabo Swinney would be?
Man, that's actually a really good question. And I think it's fascinating, Cole, that Brownell has sort of reinvented himself. And I think if you had said pre-2020 what your opinion was of Brad Brownell, you probably have the memories of a Sweet 16 trip, but that's probably about it. And so there was a lot of heartbreak and a lot of inconsistency. But he's pointed it out several times ever since they've built those new facilities that coincided with this portal era. Clemson's been one of the better teams in the ACC, right up there with Duke and North Carolina in terms of win percentage. I think tournament appearances are certainly up there. And yeah, you have your frustrating exits to Rutgers in 2021 or the McNeese game last year. But I think overall there's a different standard right now with Clemson basketball, where I think a few years ago, if Clemson was a team that made the tournament every other year, you'd be happy. And now it's tournament or bust and probably win a game at least. If you guys can challenge that, if you feel like maybe it's not that high. But certainly the reaction to the McNeese State game last year told me that, man, there's a taste for it now with that Elite Eight run. It really changed the perception of Brownell, where a lot of people wanted him gone. And now he's getting this extra extension, and portal fans, you see the way he builds rosters consistently. I mean, who could tell? If you sat here and told me who Justin Porter was last year, I wouldn't be able to tell you who he is. And now he's one of Clemson's best players. Bringing back also R.J. Godfrey or Abutta Johnson coming in and making big plays. Fans have been clamoring for Sweeney to kind of mold like it. Now it's easier in basketball with less numbers, but I guess we're going to really get that first taste of it this year with Clemson's portal class. And obviously there's the drama with Luke Farrelly, but I do believe on the defensive side, maybe Jerome Carter becomes that Joe Girard who becomes an instant fan favorite, or maybe it's London Merritt who becomes that top guy. They're like, man, Sweeney used the portal and they won against Syracuse because Merritt had this strip sack at the end. Maybe we're talking about that on a Monday show in November. So maybe we'll see, Cole. I think it's a great comparison of how these two coaches have built their programs, and one's ascended dramatically and one's descended dramatically. So we'll see how it all plays out. But yeah, certainly Brownell is kind of the crown gem of Clemson athletics right now.
You know, Grace and I watch a lot of Clemson basketball games on TV. Obviously, you're in the building a lot for these games and also some road games as well. How would you rate sort of the vibe inside of Little John Coliseum, comparing it to Dean Smith Center and Chapel Hill, comparing it to Duke, comparing it to the elite of the elite environments in the ACC? Do Clemson fans still have some room to turn that dial up just a little bit? And how have you seen it just change over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think that place, when it's sold out, packed and loud, there's quite nothing like it. And I haven't personally been in Cameron Indoor, but I have been in Dean Dome at its peak, and that place is ferocious in terms of ACC environments. Man, Little John's got to be up there. You remember that Duke game from last year. You have so much going into that. You got Dickie V returning to the broadcast booth, so many other things going down. It was memorable for a number of reasons, and Clemson winning that game, 40 minutes of wire-to-wire basketball. Can't remember much like that. Fans camping out, making pancakes in the morning, waiting for that game to start. It was something else. I think Little John's one of the best environments in college basketball. Probably won't get the credit it deserves, but overall, I think you probably can't top some of the places. Like, I think Auburn's super underrated. I think that Duke has got to be up there. Just the capacity, it's just designed to create noise. So there's a lot of venues in college basketball that I think like our Little John that probably don't get the credit it deserves. But man, when it's loud, you got to bring some earplugs because you won't be able to hear yourself think.
I've only been to Cameron once. It was when Wofford went up there a few years back. I think it's been 6 years ago or so, Grayson. It's small. It's so different than Little John, right? All right, I want to know, last week the Clemson football schedule was announced. And I want to know, for those watching on the stream, sorry for the vertical graphic there, but you can see it as well, Grayson. When you look at this 2026 schedule, what games make you go, in 2026?
Can we start with the first one?
Yes. Yes. You can.
I mean, LSU, you kind of look at it on just face value, what Lane Kiffin's been able to do in the portal. And I think this was a game people were uneasy about beforehand, but just it being official, to open it up with LSU on the road, 110,000 screaming. Now, Vizina had the first start already, but the first true start as the guy in LSU, that's a tough task. Miami, very early into the year, I think actually works in Clemson's favor, just to see how they work things out with probably what looks like Darian Mensah and the Duke Blue Devils that are coming over to the Hurricanes. But I can tell you this, guys, the one that gives me the most pause, let's say Clemson surprises some folks this year, that Syracuse game, that potentially could be a Friday night game. Clemson's never had the best history over up there in Syracuse. That one gives me pause. That could be one that maybe takes Clemson out of a solid bowl game. I'm not ready to say ACC championship contention yet with this group, but that looks to be a game that late in the year, Syracuse may not be very good, but that place has never been friendly for Clemson.
Grayson, we don't know, obviously, what the line is going to be for that LSU game because it's still a couple of months out, but would it be insulting to Clemson for that line to open up somewhere around 10 points? Is that unheard of? Is that unthinkable for it to be a 10-point spread?
I don't think it's entirely unfair. I think the first line released last week and it was 10.5. Now,
Okay.
I think if you're a gambling man, you probably take Clemson to cover just because I think the fall openers this season taught us that these teams come out really sloppy. I mean, you look at Clemson and LSU this year, Florida State and Alabama. That was a really interesting one just because I think everyone expected Bama to come in there and roll an FSU team that had just won 2 games last year. There's a lot of examples that you can pull from. But I think 10.5, maybe I think based on rosters, it's not disrespectful, but I think season opening wise, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Grayson, my last question for you. Brad Brunell and Clemson, when they get to the tournament, you've seen them a lot this year. If they run into a team that does this, you'll be concerned.
Yeah, I think that the thing that I've seen the most is I think taller athletic guard play has really bothered this Clemson team. And specifically, you got to see it up close like with NC State, the ability for those guards to switch on to bigger players and cause issues. Now, Clemson's had their workaround here and there, but I think a group that's able to disrupt you from an all-5 wide type of lineup that can switch and is super athletic. This Clemson team's not the most athletic, shattering team in the world. They have their highs and they certainly have their lows. But I think that formula where if you run into a group that high octane really moves the ball well, but particularly at the guard spot, if they're tall and have that sort of athletic switching combination, it really gave Justin Porter fits. There were a couple shots he had wide open, and all of a sudden he sees an arm extend, and that shot's going out of play. So I think this Clemson team's got a ceiling, but I think matchups are going to be very important down the stretch. I think Clemson really, and for the front court, matches up with just about everybody in the country. With Godfrey as physical as he is, Davidson and Welling can shoot outside. I think the guard matchups is what I would watch to see how far this team could truly go.
Grayson, with the news coming down early today that Gus Malzahn is retiring, plus, Chad Morris being back at Clemson now, that news a couple weeks old. How would you rank the head coach OC combinations in the ACC? Just basically off top of your head, vibes, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I actually had a chance to list these down just because, have you Morris enter the mix and she's like, how does that rank? So I kept him out of this top 3 just because we haven't seen what it's going to look like yet. So I found names that either haven't left because I think if Buster Faulkner was in the ACC, he'd be my easy number 1 pick as the top coordinator in the league. So I got to give credit to Shannon Dawson in Miami at number 1, just what he did with Cam Ward last year and how this Miami offense was able to sort of find its identity late in the season and really ride this power play action group all the way to the national championship where they just ran into a gauntlet that was Kurt Signetti sized. And then my second pick's Duke's Jonathan Brewer. People obviously will go and say, yeah, he had Darian Mensah, but what he did with Malik Murphy last year, Duke won 10 games and they've made back-to-back bowl games. At Duke football, that's royalty right there. And they've ran some pretty efficient offenses in the past. So the number 3 is a personal one for me, just because I feel like Clemson fans were kind of clamoring for this name before Chad Morris came into the picture. I really like what Cade Bell does at Pittsburgh and what they're able to do down the stretch with that quarterback. I think Heinzel is the name. Really efficient offense. I think it's very balanced, but those would be my 3 picks right now. SMU's probably in that 4th spot, and then maybe I'd slot Morris at 5, but I don't really feel comfortable yet until I see what it looks like here in a couple months.
Well, Grayson, we will not talk to you again until next Monday after the Super Bowl. And I don't know if you'll be in a great mood then, bad mood, or what kind of mood you'll be in. We look forward to it, though. Can we get a score prediction, Grayson? Can we get a score prediction as we let you leave?
Yeah, I would also say that Monday, win or loss, I will be here with a smile on my face because I get to talk to you two. And so that's any way to cure the blues or to just make my day that much better. But I got to ride with my Pats here. I think they've been wildly underrated all year. I think Sam Darnold has a couple turnovers, and I think Drake May is due for a Drake May-like game. So give me the Pats 27-23 to be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy and for me to be obnoxious for the next several months.
Yes, I love it. You should be. You're the best, Grayson.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Grayson.
Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. Always appreciate his time each and every Monday, and I hate to tell him, hope he's still listening. Next Monday, he will need some cheering up because he will be upset. They will lose.
We need to get Grayson's address and send him a case of Kleenexes.
Ah,
Can we do that?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
we'll find it. We'll find it.
Diesel, we've got to get to our headlines. We call them Daily Wires next.
844 Fan Phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
A rapid fire edition of our Daily Wires. It's the buzz. Yeah, the headlines that you're clamoring for right here on the Fan Upstate. Diesel, we start with Clemson head baseball coach Eric Bakich. He will join you and I on Wire to Wire this Wednesday at 6 p.m. So we'll talk Clemson baseball with the head man on Wednesday at 6. Shane Beamer's press conference that was scheduled for Monday at 11 this morning has been moved to Wednesday due to the weather. The presser is to discuss the new transfer portal class for the Gamecocks. You mentioned this earlier, Diesel. Not much line movement ahead of Super Bowl 60 as of Monday. Today, the Seahawks are still favored by 4.5 points over the Patriots. I'm surprised you haven't seen as much making the spread move with money coming in one way or the other, but you still have 6 days to go. In case you missed it on Friday, the Minnesota Vikings have fired GM, their general manager. Under Mensa, the Vikings are 0-2 in the postseason. In Arizona, the Cardinals have hired Mike LaFleur as their new head coach, with the Los Angeles Rams OC agreeing to a 5-year contract, the team announced Sunday.
See, no matter how bad a job is, somebody will take it.
Somebody will take it. The Cardinals met with Clint Kubiak on Saturday. He's expected, though, after the Super Bowl, to become the new guy in Las Vegas. In Miami, the Dolphins are hiring former Green Bay Packers linebackers coach Sean Duggan as their next DC, sources told ESPN. In Santa Clara, California, the San Francisco 49ers are hiring Raheem Morris as their new DC. Sources told ESPN Morris will become, Diesel, listen to this, Morris will become the team's 5th coordinator in as many years. He replaces Robert Saleh, who was there last year. Every year, Kyle Shanahan has a new defensive coordinator.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, he's losing guys to being head coaches of other teams.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Yeah. Furman now 16-7, 7-3 in the conference on the season after a 75-70 win over Chattanooga on Sunday. Furman back in action on Wednesday, traveling to ETSU. Speaking of ETSU defeated Wofford last night, 86-72, and ETSU is now in first place of the SoCon. Wofford now 15-8 on the season and 7-3 in league play. Burns basketball tomorrow is off. No school tomorrow, which means no game. We don't know when it'll be made up, but as soon as I know, we'll all know. Drake May, Diesel, we talked about this, limited in practice on Thursday due to an illness and did not practice Friday due to a shoulder injury. And we're 6 days away. Pretty big storyline heading into the Super Bowl.
Give him a Z-Pack. He'll be fine.
That's right. Throw him a few Tylenol, baby. And one more. We'll get to the rest of these later in the show. Landon Powell and North Greenville Baseball began their 2026 season this past weekend in Houston, Texas. The Trailblazers defeated UAB Huntsville 12-3 on Friday. The number 2 team in the country, Central Missouri, 15-4 on Saturday. And on Sunday, defeated Rollins College 10-4. They played out in Houston at Houston's baseball stadium. North Greenville will starts the season 3-0 and will host Lincoln Memorial on Wednesday at 3:30. A few more we'll get to a little bit later, but those are your Daily Wires.
When we come back, it is time for you Tolos to sound off like you got a pair. It is time for Overreaction Monday, 844-326-3663. Call in next. I need our phone lines to light up. 844-326-3663. Overreaction Monday. A lot for you to overreact to. Your thoughts on the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, what we saw weather-wise this past weekend. And that's where I want to start, Cole, because I know who we have on hold. I know that our next caller has bagged, denigrated, and hated on Chris Justice for weeks now because he got the cold weather forecast last weekend a little bit wrong. But this week, he was right. So I think our next caller, Dewey, owes Chris Justice an edible arrangement, a 6-pack of beer, $20, and an apology. Dewey, what do you have to say to that?
Well, first of all, he's been lying since November about this snow thing. And it finally came to fruition. Kendrick Kent and Malachi Rogers got it right also. But just for the sake of argument, I'm sorry, Chris Justice, but no more lies because your lies have been tearing people apart and making people go frantic. They got kerosene heaters and propane tanks and 500 generators and 35 loaves of bread, and they don't know what to do with them now.
Dewey, you're a brave.
Power outages.
Dewey,
There's no power outages. They lied.
Dewey, you're a Braves fan, right?
Yes.
Do you remember Dan Uggla?
Yes, he sucked.
Okay, so I think we have the perfect comparison. Tell me if you like it or hate it. To you, Chris Justice is Dan Uggla because what did Dan Uggla do? What was he famous for? He was a strikeout machine. It felt like he struck out every single at bat. However, whenever Dan Uggla made contact, what happened, Dewey?
He hit a home run.
He hit a home run. So all I'm saying is Chris Justice to you is Dan Uggla. You like that?
Well, yeah, well, not really. Every batter will get a hit once in a while. Even look at last year where Michael Harris, he finally started hitting, and then whoever else, all of a sudden they started hitting, and the little nerdling that plays shortstop, he hit once in a while. So you're going to get a hit once in a while. This is one of his hits. He got lucky, but he's back at it again. He's already saying snow sometime in February and probably getting hurricanes in March, in June and July.
No, that's not hurricane season.
Well, it's going to happen. But anyways, yeah, I apologize because I've been rough, but I got to take back my apology, though, because the snow's gone. Everyone's back to normal. Schools are still closed for whatever reason, but I don't care. I'm sending my grandson to school anyways. He can sit in the parking lot.
So do you want bad weather or do you want good weather, Dewey? What do you actually want?
I want the truth. Y'all tell the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The truth shall set Dewey free, is what he said.
Everyone's in panic mode. But anyways, I got the Super Bowl coming up, and the Super Bowl's going to suck. Seattle, who cares about Seattle? Sam Darnold, he's going to do his thing. I think Seattle's going to win 33-3 over New England.
God.
And New England and Drake Mayfield or whoever his name is, he's going to suck too. And the whole New England story's going to go away. And then that Bad Bunny person, don't even get me started on that. That's a travesty. The NFL should be ashamed of themselves for that. That is terrible. Clint McGraw and Travis Tritt and somebody wholesome should be doing the halftime show.
Did you say Clint McGraw? Is that Tim's brother?
Whatever his name is. It's just a travesty. Bad Bunny. You know what? I hope you, keep Bad Bunny. I'm keeping my political beliefs to myself, but there's a travesty. The NFL should be ashamed of themselves. And I urge everyone's children to stand and watch the competition's halftime show. Watch the Puppy Bowl. That's what I'm going to watch. I'm going to watch the Puppy Bowl. Oh.
Thanks, Dewey. 844-326-3663. You know, Dewey is the epitome of what we are. Like, everybody wants snow. But then when it gets snow, everybody complains about the roads being bad.
Mhm.
Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't have snow in winter weather and clear roads.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on Facebook. Every time we have winter weather, oh, we can't wait. And then we get winter weather and oh, the roads are terrible. I can't wait for it to be gone.
So I was around the Parkway in Greenville, just
Yeah.
to about 2 miles from where we are right now, last night, and I was coming up the Parkway towards Pelham Road, and it's a little icy there because at the bottom of the hill you don't get a lot of sun to melt that ice down. And I got it in 4-wheel drive, pull out onto the Parkway, and the back end of the Jeep starts swerving around to the side, and I'm like, wee! My wife's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't tell if you're telling the truth, if you're actually scared. I'm like, no, this is fun. This is fun to drive around in.
Oh, I'm telling you, I ran my four-wheeler this weekend, I think, as much as I have ever.
You
I mean,
didn't
just
invite me to go four-wheeling.
I did, but the letter, you didn't go out to your mailbox to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think the mailman
That's
ran.
right. There we go.
Even though
There we
it's
go.
in their creed
Yeah.
that neither rain nor snow nor dark of night can keep us from our appointed route.
Can I say this, though,
Mhm.
on my Overreaction Monday, speaking of the snow and everything, I think we don't give this one establishment. Like, we do give it a lot of praise, but, in this world we live in, Diesel, like, people get a lot of criticism. We do give praise, but I don't think we give near enough praise to Waffle House. Like, I just don't think we do. I think Waffle
What do you
House
mean?
is the epitome of America
Yeah.
because guess what? They don't close.
Who doesn't love Waffle House?
Well, I'm saying, my point being, and it's snowing. Last weekend it was icing. Guess who didn't close this weekend? Waffle House.
Whoa.
Guess who did? Everybody else. On Sunday morning, buddy of mine said, hey, let's go find food. Well, we went, tried to find food. Roads were clearing up pretty good. Nothing was open. No Bojangles, no McDonald's, no nothing. Guess who was open? Old Faithful.
I thought you had food in your house. Why are you going out if you have food?
Because you just kind of get, you get the urge to go get Waffle House when it snows.
Okay.
And they were open. They did have a limited menu, though. So you walk into Waffle House on Sunday morning, the one that I went to. Not sure which ones you, Tolos out there, visited, but I'm sure every Waffle House operates differently. Maybe they don't. Diesel, the one I went to in Gaffney, had bowls only.
Okay.
So you can get a cheesesteak bowl, you can get a ham and cheese bowl, sausage bowl, whatever, and a waffle.
Yeah.
Here's my only problem. I've got one bone to pick with a Waffle House, though. It was more expensive than it normally is.
They charged more because
Yes.
it was emergency situation.
So I ordered a bowl. That's all you could order.
Yep.
I also ordered a waffle to
Yep.
go along with the bowl.
What kind of waffle?
Just regular, plain.
You don't get pecan waffles?
Nope, plain.
Oh, you're messing up.
I should
Get pecan
have.
waffle.
Would have been even more, though. That's the problem.
Oh.
So plain waffle, the bowl, and my Diet Coke, $20.
Wow. But you got the
Diesel.
experience of driving in the
I did,
snow.
so it was
to go
worth it.
Get it.
It was
Yeah.
worth it. It was worth it. But $20 at a Waffle. I mean, I didn't even get an All-Star. So then we get our food, right? And I asked the waitress. I said, "Hey, it's a limited menu. Can I get a piece of bread, white bread?" No, can't give you a piece of bread. I'm like, "Are you serious?"
You
Can't-
have it. What do you mean?
It was sitting right there on the counter. No, I can't give it to you. Why? We're on a limited menu. I said, "Well, it's literally right. I just want one piece."
It's going to go bad.
It's gonna go, nope, can't give it to you. So I paid $20. Would you have gone out Sunday morning for a $20 breakfast?
If I had known it was a $20 breakfast, the answer is no.
I,
Would you
Didn't-
have gone out? Because Waffle House, Waffle House is an experience. Everyone knows that it's an experience.
It is.
Sometimes you'll see a fist fight. Sometimes you paid
Gunfight.
$5 for a slice of white bread.
Sometimes you do. And you know what? The funniest part was our waitress. This is the best part. Like, you just can't make this kind of stuff up. Our waitress was complaining about Arby's the night before being on a limited menu. And we're sitting there thinking, okay, this makes total sense.
I'm surprised you moneybags didn't try to slip her a $5 bill. It's like, hey, can I get a slice of bread?
I literally one slice. That's all I
You're
want.
like, you don't even have to toast it.
So that's my overreaction. I think in this world, Waffle House reigns supreme over everything else. Like,
Yeah.
I love Chick-fil-A more than anybody else in the world, but like, well, they put their employees in hotels
Nearby them.
Yes.
That's great.
so that they cannot call out for work.
We have had bad weather situations in Greenville before. that our management here, now it's been a long time since this has happened,
Yeah.
Offered to put us up in that hotel across the road.
Really?
Whatever that one is,
Yeah.
diagonally across Woodruff Road. They've offered to do it. Now, I've never needed to take it up because, I live nearby. And so it'd be like, okay, it would save me about 5 minutes worth of commute to get a hotel room. Part of me wanted to do it just to cost my company money. But now that I've said that on the air, I can't do it.
Well, they're not listening, so you're good. All right, phone lines continue to be open on Overreaction Monday, 844-326-3663. Let's get one first-time caller today. How about that? I love when a Tolo calls in, says long-time listener, first-time caller, long-time Tolo, first-time. Look, I know you're out there. What do you call it when they're listening but not interacting? You have a word for it.
Lurkers.
Lurkers. Guess where I was this morning? At the gym, and somebody said, I listen to y'all every day. I said, well, why hadn't you ever called the show before?
Bro.
I don't call. That's not me. I said, well, you should start. We love the interaction. So let's get one new Tolo. Not new Tolo, but first-time caller. I'll tell you who is not afraid to call, Diesel. Tom in Somerville. Tom in Somerville wants to overreact, and I can't wait to hear what it's about. What's up, Tom?
Hey, guys. Well, all right. So it's really a two-parter, okay? So, this weekend, been driving around. Somerville got a little snow, but we were up in Columbia for the weekend, and, Columbia got a little bit more. But my overreaction, why do people get on the road when they got a foot and a half of snow piled up on top of their car? It only takes about 10 seconds to get a broom, to get a paddle, and knock the snow off your car. Because, you're going to be driving down the road one day, and you're going to slam on brakes, and that snow is going to turn into a block of ice and go flying off the top of your car, and then you're going to sit there and be like, well, it's not my fault. Well, it is your fault. And then second off, I want to know this, especially from Columbia down. Up there where you guys are, it makes a little bit more sense. But from Columbia down, why do they spend the money to put salt on the roads? Because the very next day, all the snow's gone anyway, so they're just wasting that money. And now I got to go to the car wash, not only to wash my truck, but I got to take the wife's car up there, and her car's been in the garage the whole time. But since there's just a little bit of salt on her rims, now I got to take 30 minutes out of my day after work to go to the car wash and spray it all off. Like, we're just wasting time and resources with this salt on the roads because the snow's going to be gone the next day anyway.
What's to stop you from just getting a bucket and a sponge? You'd be done in 5 minutes, Tom.
Well, that's what I'm probably going to do because, those car washes are a scam. You take it through that thing, and next thing you know, you got scratches all over the car. You got to get a new windshield because they put a crack in the windshield. You're probably right, dude. I just need to go to Home Depot, get a bucket, get some Dawn dish soap, and wash the car that way.
I don't know that you wash a car with Dawn.
You can wash your wheels with Dawn.
Do you?
Because it gets the grease off the wheels. You shouldn't wash your paint with Dawn.
Really? I didn't know that.
Tom, here's the thing is if you wash the car and it's clean, you still got to drive home, and you're going to get salt all over the car all over again.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just
You need to wait till like Saturday, Tom, when the roads are better.
I'm just ready for summer. I'm ready for it to be 90 degrees so we can complain about it being too hot and ready for fall to come back around. We're not made for this salt. We're not made for this cold. And the salt they put on the road is more than just salt to taste, guys. That stuff sticks to your car, and you cannot get it off.
You got to take clay bar to get that stuff out of the paint. I found out, Tom, the other day that they used the same salt solution on airport runways that they put in Bologna.
Ugh.
That is disgusting.
Yeah, it's sodium.
Well, I don't think they take it off the runway and put it in Bologna.
Something. No, they don't take it off the runway. But it's the same solution. It's the same salt.
Well, maybe they need to give some of that salt to the men's basketball team, and maybe it'll change the way on how they play.
Hey, they played good Saturday, just tough
They still
overtime
lost.
Yeah, they played good. They still lost.
Still
but,
lost. How many inches of snow did Somerville get, Tom?
Like 1 or 2. Where I was at in Columbia got over 4.
You're kidding.
No, it was fun. The dog did this. So I'm out there having a good old time, enjoying the snow, and then the dog decides he's going to go walk over the frozen pond. But the problem is it wasn't fully frozen.
Oh,
so he steps out on the pond, that ice breaks, and my wife looks at me and says, well, you got to go get him. I'm not going to get him. He can find his own way back. Sure enough, I stepped in the pond. 2 seconds later, he found his way back because I wasn't going any further.
I think Tom needs like a TikTok or something. People can just follow his daily life. I mean, it's just too good to be true.
And he would get too big for us, and he wouldn't call us
true.
anymore.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I like to keep out low profile, guys. I'm low profile.
Yeah, everything about your voice, the way you speak,
is low.
Screams low profile, Tom.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the call, Tom.
So,
Thanks.
Go Gamecocks. Has Dewey called yet?
He did.
He did.
He did.
He did apologize to Chris Justice.
Okay. Well, what about Mad Dash? Where is he? Have we heard anything?
He's
Is he on suspension?
nowhere to be found.
MIA.
I'll make a phone call. We'll find him.
All right. Appreciate you, Tom.
Tom's making a phone call.
Yeah, I saw a video over the weekend, Cole, from the Barstool Nears account. It's the App State Barstool account. The duck pond down the hill from the football stadium was frozen so solid that there was a guy out there in his Carolina Hurricanes hockey jersey skating around with a hockey stick practicing on the duck pond.
That's amazing.
That never happens. I've never seen it freeze that solid.
That's thick there.
That's thick
That's
ice.
thick with 2 C's.
Uh-huh.
I love it.
Megan the Stallion thick.
I really do. I love it. I mean, that's what you should do. I mean, you got to enjoy it. Now, if you fall at your own risk, kind of like Tom's dog, right?
There was a cop waiting on him after he finished a lap saying, hey, you got to get off the ice, man. We can't have you falling in. We can't have you falling into the pond.
Come on,
when it's frozen like this.
Come on, cops. What's wrong with that? Let them be. Come on. Hey, by the way, Tolo's out there. Let us know so we can get the word out, message out while you're driving around today and tomorrow where you are. Number one, like cancellations, things like that. Also, how the roads are, back roads to avoid. I don't know what the back roads look like now, but this morning, they were pretty bad. I did not take any back roads to get here today to Greenville, but I would imagine the roads got a lot better this afternoon with it being, near 40 degrees or whatever it was. So let us know. Tolos at 844-326-3663 what part of town you're in if you're seeing some bad spots for people to stay away from tonight because I believe it's supposed to get below freezing again tonight, Diesel. So it'll just refreeze.
Yeah, scary stuff out there.
Got to stay safe, Tolos. Got to
stay safe. Put your studded tires on there.
That's right.
Or Dewey, just put some nails in your tires. You'll be fine.
Does Dewey drive?
Does Dewey have a license?
It's a good question. That is a really. Oh, by the way, did you watch any of the big, speaking of hockey, stadium tour this weekend?
I saw that it was happening. I didn't watch it. Like I saw the photos of Beaver Stadium at Penn State. It looked awesome.
It did look cool.
I saw the opening ceremony, I don't know what you call it, of the game yesterday in Tampa, which is wild.
Yeah,
like how could they have a hockey game in the stadium in Tampa?
Good question.
Like they had to have seen the weather coming and they took a game. Those
they got lucky.
Those things take a lot of planning to pull those things off.
They got lucky.
But they took what was, I guess, probably supposed to have been in the Tampa Bay Lightning Stadium and just brought it over to the football stadium.
You know what I love though? Like the only part of it I watched Diesel this morning was on highlights. They were showing the highlights on ESPN. It was cool. It was really cool. I do love them doing it. I think it reaches a different audience. I love it. I have nothing against the game of hockey. I don't find myself like overly engaged with it the same way with the Olympics. I just don't have like a vested interest. A lot of that probably has to do with us not having a team, very, very local. I also, Diesel, don't think it helps when you don't have like a team. Like if I grew up a Hurricanes fan, it would help. Now I'll say this though. Here's what I did love this morning when ESPN was showing the highlights. I appreciate hockey because I don't know what game it was last night they were showing the highlights of. 2 goalies last night. You don't see this often. 2 goalies took their mask. What do you call it? Helmet off?
Yep. Face mask?
Yep. And they went at it. And guess what? The officials, until they hit the ground. Let them go at it.
It's like watching two sumo wrestlers go at it.
I love it. And you know what? Like, I know it's kind of got that NASCAR feel where Diesel people tune into NASCAR to see the wrecks, people tune into hockey to see the fights. Like, that's kind of part of the sport. But I do love and appreciate the fact that we hadn't gotten too soft as a society, that we can't allow those hockey fights. They can't allow that.
Yeah, these guys are tough. I think they like it, honestly. I saw some video over the weekend, or maybe it was last weekend, of youth hockey brawls. And it's like, man, it's fun just to watch little kids fist fight.
It's the best. It's the best. I mean, we don't condone violence.
They should make a YouTube channel out of just that. Toddler fights.
Toddler fights.
Yeah. When you get old enough to make a fist and start throwing punches, you're out. You can't be in this thing anymore. And now we should be able to start betting on it.
Toddler fights. Yeah. Now you're really talking. Now you're talking. Hey, speaking of toddler fights, let's get into college basketball statewide, also nationwide. But Diesel, when you talk about toddler fights, we'll talk about South Carolina basketball, because they lost again over the weekend. They're struggling, or reeling might be the right word, but not a toddler fight. What's happening in Clemson? Brownell continues to stack them. And the latest bracketology, plus today's college basketball top 25. We'll get into it next.
Fan Upstate.
Well, what does it look like now, Diesel, when you talk about the latest bracketology and the men's AP Top 25 that was released today? We'll start with the Top 25. Arizona kind of looks untouchable. I mean, they have been number one pretty much all season. And Diesel, I think it was last week we talked about this. Arizona, and do you remember who the other team was that's unbeaten, that's still unbeaten today?
Yes, it's St. Louis.
Miami of
Ohio.
Yeah, the color's right, I think. By the way,
I do remember us talking about it.
Yep.
I just got the wrong team.
Wrong team, right colors,
Yep.
though. Miami of Ohio's mascot. You're the mascot expert. What is their mascot?
Well, St. Louis is blue and gray.
I thought St. Louis was red.
No, that's the Cardinals.
No.
Miami of Ohio's red, and they are the Miami Red Hawks.
Red Hawks. How about that?
Not the Red Hawk Tuas.
No, different. That's different. That's another team.
Yeah.
So those are the two teams that are undefeated as of today. The Wildcats have been number one, unanimous number one, might I add, Diesel, for a third straight week. They're followed by Michigan, who flips spots with UConn to get to number two. The Big Ten continues to have two teams in the top five. Illinois replacing Nebraska as the final team after they dropped 2 games this past week. Cornhuskers remain in the top 10, only sliding 4 spots. The biggest jump in the poll, Diesel, came from the Fighting Illini, 4 spots, with Kansas, Vandy, and St. John's each moving 3 spots up in the rankings, and Miami of Ohio, the Red Hawks. You said Red Hawks?
Mm-hmm.
Rose a spot, while St. Louis rose 2 spots. So St. Louis, hey, you talked about, you were in the mid-major category. You were close,
Yeah.
right?
St. Louis, I don't know their mascot, but it looks like the Grinch.
Oh,
Their logo looks like the Grinch,
okay. That's interesting.
but it's not green.
Not green.
Yeah.
Another Grinch. Arkansas.
Grinch.
How about this? Arkansas, Calipari. They dropped the furthest in the poll today, Diesel, by 6 spots. And you know who dropped out entirely? Alabama.
Oh.
Yep. Dropped out, making way for Tennessee to re-enter the top
See, it
25.
looks like the Grinch. Kind of.
No. You know what it looks like to me?
Looks like the Grinch.
It looks like an inbred Grinch and Shrek.
Oh, God.
Kind of.
You went there.
You see it?
Yeah, I sure do.
So, anyways, back to sports. Tennessee's now in the top 25. Other teams that dropped down the rankings include Louisville, the Cornhuskers, mentioned them earlier, 4 spots, as well as BYU and Michigan State. So, the full top 25, Arizona 1, Michigan 2, UConn 3, Duke 4, Illinois 5, Gonzaga 6, Iowa State 7, Houston 8, Nebraska 9, Michigan State 10, Kansas 11, Purdue comes in at number 12, Texas Tech 13, North Carolina 14, number 15, Vandy, 16, BYU, 17, Florida. They continue to move on up. 18, Virginia, 19, Diesel, St. Louis, Billikens.
Billikens.
Do you know that a Billiken?
Yeah, they sponsor the upper deck at the Spartanburger Stadium. Right?
That's Milliken.
Oh, Milliken. Milliken.
Roger Milliken is
their brother Bill.
Billikens. What is a Billiken? Does anybody know?
The heck is a Billiken? It's an inbred Shrek.
Oh,
Grinch
that's what the Google just said too. When I Googled it, that's what it said. Inbred Shrek. What the heck? It's a mythical good luck charm.
Oh God.
Yeah, you should ask Lonzo. He would have known.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
It's a bald, pointy-eared creature with a mischievous grin.
Yeah, let's make that our mascot.
Yeah,
totally.
that
People are gonna get this one.
Yeah, that's good. All right,
At least they're
followed.
not the Bulldogs, you know.
Everybody's
the
a bulldog.
Tigers, the Eagles.
The Billikens are unique. Diesel, the Billikens are number 19. Number 20, Brad Brownell moved up 2 spots, 18-4 Clemson Tigers. How about Clemson holding opponents to 16 points in the first half for just the second time this season? They did that Saturday.
I did. I had the question written down to ask. I don't know if I actually got to it or not with our guest on Friday,
Don Munson?
Don Munson, and I said, look, This Pitt team has scored more points in the second half than they have in the first half every game for the last 10 games straight. And that's something that Clemson was going to have to be cognizant of because they can let teams go on runs in the second half. And boy, did they. I mean, it was 16 points in the first half for Pitt. It was 36 points in the second half. The game was never really in question,
Sure,
but it let it get all the way down to a 9-point final.
I wonder why Pitt does that. You'd think it'd be more advantageous to score early.
Yeah, you would think.
I mean, do they think this is some kind of science here? Maybe somebody should
back for a more dramatic
Yeah.
victory.
They're a second half team, right?
Yeah.
Somebody should tell Pitt it's okay if you do score in the first half. So here's where we are. Clemson on the road at Stanford, 10 p.m. By the way, that is a 10 p.m. tip on the East Coast. So a 7 o'clock local time tip, right, on Wednesday night. If you stay up to watch Clemson, we talked about this a little bit with Grayson Mann. I think this Clemson team is in an interesting spot. Don Munson told you and I on Friday that he didn't necessarily think this year's Clemson team was more talented than last year's team, but he did say that they played together a little bit better and maybe had a little bit more chemistry, a little bit more depth. We've talked about this, you and I have. What do tournament teams look like, though? Like, tournament teams aren't the same teams that we're talking about in December, right? For the most part. Tournament teams have depth. They have guys that can show up consistently when, let's say, a R.J. Godfrey isn't producing like R.J. Godfrey needs to be, or a Carter Welling. They have those guys. They also have a little bit of age on them, too. When you look at this year's Clemson team, where are we? Where are you? Where am I? Where are the Tolos on from what we've seen? Do we believe this Clemson team can be successful in the postseason in the tournament compared to what we've seen just in the regular season?
It makes it tough because you're going to have to outscore a lot of really good teams in the tournament. And that's one thing that really scares me about this Clemson team is they can hold a lot of teams down way below their season average.
Good defense, man.
They've done a really good job at that.
Yeah.
But in my mind, offense wins tournament games. In that fever pitch pace, offense wins those kind of games. And obviously look at the last couple of years that Brad Brownell has had his team in the tournament. They've been better defensive teams than offensive teams for the last couple of years in a row, and it has not served them well. Like, you need to be the kind of team that can score 85 to 90 a night to advance and go a good long way in the tournament.
Well, I just think that when you look at what Clemson does well, I'm not casting them out of the tournament saying that they can't make a deep run. I do think there's a lot of truth in the fact that defense does travel, right? Regardless of where you're playing, Diesel, regardless of who you're playing in the tournament, they are a good – I don't know. Like, I've watched them on Saturday. I don't know that it's the individual defense. I think you got to give Brad Brownell a lot of credit. When you talk about team defense, they are really good as a unit defensively. Now, it takes really good individuals. Any coach will tell you that, right? But team defense, man, this Clemson team's good. They're scrappy. You said it. They hold teams down, below their average. Now, here's where I go. And this is kind of when we dive really deep into this conversation, Diesel. When you look at analytics from like a guy like Evan Miyakawa, who we've had on the show, right? College basketball analytics. Clemson's not in the top 10. Clemson doesn't have a player in Evan Miyakawa's top 10. If you scroll down, top resume quality, Clemson's also not in the top 10 of that. If you look over at top projected playmakers, Clemson doesn't have a player in top projected playmakers. Most indispensable players, guess what? Clemson doesn't have a player in the top 10 there. Roster strength-wise, Diesel, Clemson's not top 10 roster strength. So a lot of these like metrics that are looked at, MVP rankings from Evan Miyakawa, no Clemson Tigers in the top 10. Top projected rebounders, guess what? No Clemson Tigers there. So, I'm not saying these metrics are going to define teams in the postseason, but this Clemson team, and I'm not saying it's like, what do you call lightning in a bottle, but they're not measuring top 10 in a lot of these important rankings. And I think that's something to watch, Diesel, as the season goes on, because if this team does go out and lay an egg in the postseason, Or, hey, even better, or not better, but even expounding a little bit more, what if they falter on the West Coast? What if they falter against Duke? There's something to be said there.
Yeah, this team has been predicated, like we were talking about just a minute ago, on elite defense, and having 5 or 6 guys on this team that can give you a solid 10 to 15 points a night. Some nights somebody steps up, player A will step up, the next night player B will step up. But they don't have, in my opinion, they don't have an elite scorer that when the game is on the line, when you're down 7 to Duke with 3 minutes to play, I don't believe that Clemson has the kind of elite player that will take over a game offensively. You know, that kind of guy that's just got ice in his friggin' veins, and he will go out and hit you 2 threes to get you down to a 1-point ball game. I don't know that they've got that. Yeah, they have guys that can shoot, but do they have somebody that can do it on demand? And that's the hard part.
That's a good question.
And every team in America wants to have that guy.
You got to have that guy.
That guy's hard to get.
Look, I think if you look at what they've done so far, you say, okay, we've had bench play, right? The bench play's gotten it done. Will that bench play translate to the postseason, to the tournament? Maybe it does. And if it does, Brownell's created a monster, right? Because they can make a run. They have good depth. But here's where I do worry. Going back to evanmiyakawa.com, team ratings. This is different than the top 25 that we just talked about, right? Evan Miyakawa, Diesel, as you know, we used to talk about this in football with Kelly Ford's ratings, right? Evan's ratings are based a lot on offense, efficiency rate, defense, efficiency rate, relative rating, opponent adjust, pace adjust, the true tempo ranking, the injury ranking, the home a lot of things, right? Kill shots. Do you know where Clemson is in Evan Miyakawa's power rankings when it comes to just team rankings? Now, they're, what I'd say, 20 in the AP poll. Clemson's 34 in Evan Miyakawa's power rankings. They have according to Evan's data, a 6.8 offense rate, an 11, going back to what you said, 11.8, which is stronger, going back to their defensive rating, giving them a total rating of 18.6, which lands them at 34 in the country. Interesting. Again, this data doesn't tell everything.
Well, they haven't played a ton of top 25 teams yet, and the ones that they have played, Bama, BYU, and I think Cincinnati was ranked, might have been ranked when they played them a couple of weeks ago. It's been a while, right, since they've played those kind of teams. Yeah, they went on a great run. That's helped them get up there in the rankings, because the rankings, it's an eye test, and you get a lot of love from the voters, the AP voters, when you go on extended winning streaks the way that they did. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're the 20th best team in the country. It just means that they are impressed with the fact that you went on some decent runs. We're going to find out for real, especially this week with the road games at Stanford and Cal.
Yeah.
We're going to find out what this team is. And then, of course, you got Duke coming up, North Carolina, and still Louisville on the schedule as well. That's at least 5 really tough games on this schedule. So they've got an opportunity to impress the analytics guys.
They do. One last thing I want to say, going back to my point about the rankings and the data not being in favor of Clemson. And maybe we can get Evan on the show here soon to talk about it. But this also ties into what you said a minute ago, Diesel. I just talked about team ratings. Well, let's go to player ratings. You just said a minute ago, you don't know if Clemson has that guy with a killer instinct, right? In a tournament that just, bam, can go make it, can go grab the jugular and get it done. Do you know where, when you click player ratings on Evan Miyakawa's website, again, all data driven, no opinions here, you have to scroll down to number 90 before you find the Clemson Tiger. And that's RJ Godfrey with a player rating of 6.62. So, again, not saying RJ Godfrey's not good, not saying Clemson doesn't have playmakers, but these are concerns that we're going to find out, just like you said, against Cal and Stanford and against Duke and against Virginia and against Wake Forest and Louisville. We're going to find out if what we've seen is fool's gold or if what we've seen is what we are seeing, and that is Clemson's a heck of a ball club.
When we come back, Cole, I cannot believe that a sitting head basketball coach in NCAA Division I power conferences actually threw this statement, this question out there about his team. We'll get to that next. Rick Barnes said what about his team, Cole, with as many scandals as we've seen pop up in the last 6 months to a year when it comes to basketball and point shaving and gambling. Why on earth, even if he's joking, would a Division I head coach say this in a post-game press conference?
I mean, at the end of the game, some of the passes that we throw, I don't know what to say other than sometimes I wonder if my guys are betting on games. I shouldn't say that, but that's what erase that. I don't want to say that. But I just wonder what's happening. I mean, because I know we're too good of players to do that. Was that a bad? I apologize. I shouldn't have said that.
I mean, his teams win, and they've won 3 in a row.
I heard that this morning, by the way.
They beat Alabama, Georgia, and Auburn their last 3 games. All 3 of them tight contested ball games. The Auburn game was an 8-point game, but the other 2 were closer. What are you thinking, Rick? I mean, am I wrong here by saying, like, look, you can joke about something like that after the season is over, but why would you joke about it during the season when you know that the NCAA would put a target on your players' backs for this?
Well, I think it's, and again, not trying to be disrespectful here, I think sometimes, Diesel, older people are loose-lipped and just say what comes to mind. I mean, it happens. You think something, you say it, and you heard him there. Like, he backtracked immediately. He did it jokingly, which was funny, but you've heard older coaches in the past just say things off the cuff, and then, after they hear that come out, they're like, oh, well, did I just say? Yeah, you did say that. Oof. So it's hilarious, number one. I thought the audio was really, really funny. Yeah, jeez. But at the same time, you're right. Hopefully, and the AD right now is thinking, dear God, please don't let any of our players be gambling,
Yeah.
Please.
Did you see the story this weekend, Cole, about what happened at the Division II Tuskegee basketball game against Morehouse College?
You have some bracelets, right?
Game was over. Tuskegee won at home. Head coach Benji Taylor got upset because some Morehouse football players had come out of the stands, got into the handshake line, and were throwing obscenities and harassing his team, basically. Mm-hmm. Coach Benji Taylor tells the security guards, hey, you need to get those guys out of this line. That's a security breach. It's in their bylaws that's what the security does after the game, is keep the only players and coaches are the ones on the court. But the security guard wasn't having it. They put the head coach of the winning basketball team, who was right, by the way.
Yeah.
He was in the right. They put him in handcuffs and walked him off the court.
I did see that. And look, Tuskegee's a proud program. That guy's been there for 17 seasons coaching basketball. I hope they do the right thing and do an investigation and don't just, get a knee-jerk reaction and fire them or suspend them. But, I mean, somebody who's been there that long, 17 years, you've got to look into that. And you're right. I mean, I saw the video. I don't blame the guy.
So what it doesn't look like anything explosive happened, right? Security guard kind of saunters up to the midcourt line as the players are doing their handshakes. The officer's kind of got his hands gripping onto his vest. It's a comfortable way to hold your hands. And the coach just is like, hey, look at them. They're over there. You got to get them out of here. And they said that he was being, quote, very aggressive.
Wow.
And they put him in handcuffs, walked him off the court. He is retained an attorney now to pursue possible lawsuit for civil rights violations. If he sues, he's going to win.
He should sue.
He's going to win.
He should. We've got more audio that came out weird, but more audio is what I was trying to say. Audio blitz coming at you in the sports world. What was said, that's next.
Fan Upstate.
Fakes the screen. The dump down to Musa. Massive shot! Yeah! Let him shoot a three. Yep. Go for it. Oh, my goodness! Oh, he hit it! Oh, tipped! Hornets have it! Put it in there, Con! He got crushed! Yes! He's going to go to the free throw line! Good switch. Black's got it. He's going to have to fire. It's a 2. No! It's over! It's over!
The Hornets take down the Dallas Mavericks this past weekend, Diesel. And I'll tell you what, an insane ending, an insane basketball game. How about Con Knipple? Flag was amazing. He had like 400 points. But Con Knipple and those Charlotte Hornets not winning a ton of games this year. But boy, are they starting to put formidable basketball back on the court again.
That was huge. They had been on a 6-game win streak going into that one. That made 7. Now they're at 8 because they just beat the Pelicans earlier today.
Love it. Love it. You know, I really do.
7. They are at 7 now.
We'll take it.
7-game win streak.
I've told you this. I've said this on air before. I want nothing more than Charlotte to be good.
Mm-hmm.
I will be. You can hear it right. I'm gonna say it again. I will become the biggest Charlotte Hornets fan you've ever. I can't pull for losers though. If they're losing, I can't pull for losers. But if they start getting good, I can promise you one thing. I'll make drives up 85.
Charlotte Hornets make the playoffs.
Yeah,
we're in. Like we're paying attention to this team, and they got to do it multiple years in a row. Like earlier today, our boss sent us an email about football cities in America and the amount of time and attention people pay to it. And Charlotte is the 30th ranked NFL city in America as far as the amount of time and money that people put into watching their team. It takes a long time to undo the decade of mediocrity that the Carolina Panthers have been in. And guess what? The Charlotte Hornets have been worse for longer. So it takes time to bring that back.
Let's go though, man.
They can do it if and they got to get some luck. They got to get some help. They got to get some better players that can continue this upward trajectory. They face Houston on the road on the 5th, which would be Thursday at 8:00 NBA League Pass. So guess what? You can't watch it unless you got NBA League Pass
or one of those
illegal boxes.
Yeah, those websites.
See, that's also something I've railed about for the longest time. I really, really, really want to watch more Hurricanes game. Can't do it because they're blacked out locally. Even if it's on a platform that I've already paid for, ESPN Plus.
Still
can't watch it because it's blacked out. A lot of Hornets games are blacked out too. That is not the way to build a fan base back by hiding their content behind a paywall.
It does. The next audio Diesel on the Audio Blitz, I want to tell you and the Tolos in this final hour of the show that there is something that we do that I think might be the dumbest thing we do as Americans. We do a lot of dumb things, and I mean a lot of dumb things.
Eating Tide Pods?
That's pretty dumb. That's up there.
Boiling water in the air?
That's up there.
It's really cold?
This is dumber. Why do we still care? Why do we still this drives me
dumber than
nuts.
Those two things.
It is my job this February 2 to look to the skies and report back to you that there is a shadow here on my ground. 6 more weeks of winter abound.
Diesel, what are we doing? What are we doing? There are human beings, adult men that are in black coats, black top hats, beards, salt and pepper beards, and they're holding a rodent.
Yep.
And we as Americans care what the rodent sees when he comes out of the hole. Like, what are we doing? This is the dumbest thing. We've got to kill this groundhog.
Come on.
We got to do it.
You get people together. You sell some funnel cakes.
Dear God.
Add some cotton candy. It's fun,
It
man.
is the dumbest.
Like, we need more things of whimsy to occupy our time because the world is on fire. Okay, we need some fun in our lives. You don't like fun, Cole?
I don't like putting my belief in what's going to happen with weather.
Nobody believes.
They do.
They don't.
These guys in the top hats, they're insane.
They don't believe.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of believe, Will Campbell believes that the Patriots can finish the job 1 year ago, we saw him at LSU. Diesel, really good player. And as a rook, he's playing in the biggest game on the biggest stage. Here was some audio from the former Tiger.
You're going to Super Bowl 60. How about the year number one?
Yeah, I mean, I can truly say that this has been amazing. Nobody expected this. I mean, like you said, we went from having the 4th overall pick to now we're going to the Super Bowl. And that's just a testament to, the work that everyone in this locker room has put in, this coaching staff, these players, the support staff. And there's no other team I'd rather be part of.
To his point, I do think, New England's had success recently, Diesel, so we don't view them as a Cinderella. But if you took that logo off and said, hey, the team that had the 4th overall pick last year is playing in the Super Bowl this year, we would be making a much bigger deal of it. But because it's New England and they've had so much success, we're not really making that big of a deal of it. And I think you do have to credit those guys in that locker room because back-to-back 4-win seasons, this team had no pick. 1 year later, they're playing. It's impressive to me. It really is.
Yeah, new team. They all deserve to have that, that wonder at what they've accomplished put out there.
All right, this one's funny. You'll like this one. Tolos, you will as well. So, Diesel, Robert Saleh is the new head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Robert Saleh trying to get fan engagement. That not keep it up, but just trying to, do new things. So what did the Tennessee Titans do? They had Robert Saleh call a few season ticket holders. I love that, right? You're a season ticket holder. Your phone rings. It says Tennessee Titans. You pick it up, and it's your head coach. So what's funny about this, Diesel, the guy who answered, just an everyday, hard-working American man who's, running this construction company, didn't know it was Robert Saleh and starts talking about the hire and didn't know he was talking to the head coach. In case you missed it, this audio, pretty good from Tennessee.
Hello?
Eddie,
Hey,
how's it going? This is Robert Saleh with the Titans.
good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Calling to appreciate to show a little appreciation for your for being a season ticket holder since 2013.
Yeah, that time around. Yeah, I've only missed 6 home games since we've been in Nissan Stadium.
We appreciate the heck out of you. We appreciate the support, and I promise we're going to do everything we can to bring this team to bring a winner back to Nashville.
Well, I like what we're hearing so far from our coach. I like what he's had to say so far, and the hires so far I think have been really good hires. I won't say home runs, but they're really good hires.
Eddie, do you know who you're talking to?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot. It's Coach Saleh with the.
I'm sorry. I was in my truck and I didn't hear what you said.
How good is that, man? Oops.
That's great audio.
Oh, man. Robert Saleh making phone calls. I love that. I really do. That is what you do, right? Get the coach for a few minutes. I'm glad he didn't say anything really bad, though.
That guy sucks. What a terrible hire. I'm not sold on it, man. I think this team's going to be terrible until we get him out of there and get somebody new.
They brought in a coach from the New York Jets to coach us. What if you're right. What if he would have just, MF'd him? That would have been funny audio. Speaking of funny audio, JB referred to this earlier, Diesel. Florida fans, can you hear what they're saying? So Charles Bediako of Alabama was at the free throw line, and you can hear G League dropout being chanted by the Florida student section. Is that crossing the line or no?
Hell no. He's a professional. He's a grown-ass man.
And he's playing college basketball, which makes
love it.
I love it too.
Shame them. And he also said Alabama's 1-2 since Bediako joined the team.
That is correct.
So
that is correct.
I'm just saying, 1-2.
How about a little audio here from LeBron James, Diesel? He did not know 2 pieces of audio. One about maybe when he visits like away arenas, if this will be the last time he goes to that city. But this first audio, him talking about the decision to come to LA 8 years ago and playing longer than he expected.
If you want to be completely honest with you, 8 years ago, when I left to go to LA, I would have, if you would have asked me, would I still be playing in 2026, I would have said no. After going to 10 straight finals, or 8 straight finals, what is it? Eight straight finals.
Humble brag.
After going to 8 straight finals and all the energy and all the mental toll and the physical toll that it took on, me and obviously my teammates, for Miami, for here. If you would have asked me if I was going to be playing 8 years later, I'd have said no.
So LeBron James felt old when he went to LA. And me as a LeBron fan, if you would have said, hey, Cole, do you think he's going to be playing 8 years? I'd have said probably 4, right? He won a championship, his second year in LA. So I'd have said, okay, 2 or 3, maybe 4. When I heard that
2020 bubble season?
Yeah. When I heard that audio, I didn't realize he'd been in LA for 8 years already.
Time flies, dude.
And he's now 104 years old, and he was asked about visiting away arenas, if that would be the last time he ever went to that arena.
Could be the last game I play here, so I better soak it in. Yes. I guess as every road arena that I've been in, I think I talked about that just trying to take everything in, not take the moments for granted, because it could be, obviously I haven't made a decision on the future, but it very well could be. So could be the last game.
So I think he retires. Not breaking any news here.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I think he does.
Like
But we also saw the Kobe retirement tour where everybody was just like getting out of his way and
I
letting
didn't
him
like
score
that.
60 points.
I don't like
That's
that.
no good. But I would want LeBron to say, look, if this is the last time that I'm ever in this arena, I want to snatch their souls.
Yeah.
Which is, the way Sam Darnold put it. Hey, let's go snatch these guys' souls right now. Be like, I want to walk out of every arena this year for the last time with a win.
LeBron would have to, so when the season ends, Diesel, he will either have to retire or take a massive pay cut. The Lakers are not going to sign him to the same deal. So if he does take a massive pay cut and allows the Lakers to restructure the roster and get better, he'll stay. I don't see him doing that. I think he steps away. You said it. It kind of sounds like he might be trending in that direction. A minute ago, we were talking about Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple. How good or how surprised are we with Cooper Flagg? I expected him to be good in the NBA. He's been great. Brian Windhorst of ESPN even went as far, Diesel, to say this morning.
Wendy, despite the loss, what did you learn about Cooper Flagg last night?
I didn't learn anything. I already knew how special this guy is. I've been covering the NBA for 24 years. I've seen 3 teenagers before Cooper Flagg who have been blown away impressive to me. One was LeBron, one was Luka Doncic, and one was Victor Wembanyama. When it comes to the way Cooper Flagg can control the game at both ends of the floor, the only one he compares to is LeBron. Now, he is a different game than LeBron because he's more of a defensive dominating player than LeBron was as a 19-year-old. LeBron had a more polished scoring game than Cooper does. Although I'll tell you right now, Cooper's jump shot is better than LeBron's was at the same age. But the way Cooper Flagg can do everything, handle the ball, create, rebound, go down to the other end, guard multiple different positions. And what really blows me away about Cooper Flagg, and you saw it in this game, because even though he had 49 points, he was furious when he lost this game. His competitiveness, particularly his competitiveness defensively, is what sets him apart.
Wendy,
maybe face of the league. Is that too far? Could Cooper Flagg be the face of the NBA, Diesel?
Could be. 5 years from now. Giannis is getting a little bit older.
Yeah. Kevin Durant's old.
Yep, they're getting old. The league needs a new face, and they're always constantly looking for a new face. So could be, yeah. He's out there scoring 49 a night. That's
unbelievable.
Eventually, you stop saying, "Oh, that's a good story for a rookie," and you just start to say, "Oh, this guy can do it night in, night out."
He's got potential, man. And again, I'm not saying he's going to be the next LeBron, but Wendy's right in the sense of he's just got it, and I like Con Knipple a lot too. I think Con Knipple, you said it a couple of weeks ago, I think Con Knipple is going to have a really good career in the NBA.
I think he's going to be a solid 25 a night kind of guy for the majority of his career.
But
and now with Cooper, all that matters is can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
He's battled so many injuries.
It's amazing to watch that guy play. Like the other night, again, they said it on First Take. They lost, but you still left that game thinking, my God, this Cooper Flagg, he is so good. So it'll be fun to watch. Going back to the NFL, we talked about this in the second segment of the show today, Diesel. Mike Vrabel on Drake May. Here's what Coach Vrabel said.
He did not practice. No, it was illness and shoulder.
Illness? I'm sorry.
Illness and shoulder.
Did he practice yesterday, Mike? Can you tell us?
However you label limited, that's how much he practiced. It wasn't full, and so if it's not full, it has to be down as limited. So I don't know what percentage of the normal work, but it's pretty clear that if you're not, you don't take the normal reps or whatever you would normally take. So it wasn't that much.
So he would have practiced today if not for the illness.
He would have been at practice today if not for the illness.
A lot of questions bombarding Mike Vrabel.
They're trying to get real specific.
Oh, like did he use his left foot to walk out on the practice field? What kind of cleats was he wearing?
When you say illness, is he sneezing? Is he coughing? Is he percentage wise? How
like
many
a doctor.
of his? Yeah,
they're trying to diagnose him, right? I get it. It's the Super Bowl. Reporters are trying to not get a scoop, but figure out what they can gather in terms of intel. Grayson Mann said that he doesn't think it's a huge deal. I don't think it's a huge deal, Diesel, but I wouldn't want my quarterback in this spot.
No, I want my quarterback healthy and practicing right now.
Yeah. So that is the audio blitz, and my goodness, we're going to have more audio coming, especially next week after the Super Bowl. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see. We might have some depressing audio, especially on Monday when Grayson Mann joins us. Hopefully not.
We'll just use Monday as a therapy session.
That's
How
right.
about that? Speaking of Grayson Mann, we'll talk with Grayson next. We talked Dabo Sweeney, and we talked Brad Brownell, and, of course, all things Clemson athletics with Grayson Mann at TigerNet next.